This video will not attempt to answer the perennial Avatar question, how can something so lucrative leave no cultural footprint whatsoever? When I reviewed The Way of Water, I compared these movies to the feelies from Aldous Huxley's Brave New World.
Brave New World has its equivalent of the cinema. Huxley called it the feelies, a dystopic extrapolation from the talkies that emerged in and around the 1920s. Films with sound, with talking, with singing. They sent Huxley into paroxysms of curmudgeonly rage, ranting against the debasement of the human psyche and the human intellect unavoidably inflicted on the audience by modern entertainment. Indecency, decadence, decay, and the spiritual void. The talkies offered, to use a sentence of his, nothing but disembodied entertainers gesticulating flatly on the screen and making gramophone-like noises as they did so. So, in Brave New World, we get the feelies. The feelies convey no meaning. They contain no real message. They aren't designed to challenge you or to make you think. They aren't really a narrative art form at all. They are all designed to delight the base senses: touch, sight, sound, and smell. They tell no stories because Brave New World doesn't allow stories to be told. It's all about keeping people comfortable. The first Avatar marked one giant leap toward the Huxleyite future, the Brave New World. Avatar wasn't cinema, Avatar was the feelies.
That remains my answer. They bypass the part of the brain that makes you think, and they target the part of the brain that makes you feel. Avatar movies provide vague sensory stimulation, the best colors, the most beautiful forms, the most titillating designs, the swelling score, the simplest emotional palette with no flavor too strong. The audience is not supposed to engage with the movie, the audience is meant to passively receive the movie, with the goal being a kind of synchronized chemical bliss for the masses. What makes the feelies sinister is not that they impact you, it is that they do not. At least, not consciously. The cynicism at their core is that they do not view the audience as thinking agents to be persuaded, but as bipedal fleshy canisters containing a cocktail of neurochemicals. What we take for reason and rationality, our opinions, wants, desires, beliefs, these are the mere products of that cocktail. Change the dose, change the balance, change the man.
In your Brave New World Revisited, which was published about 2 years ago, you did claim that much of what you forecast had come true. I mean, for example, the use of drugs and this instance of people having their thoughts directed while they're asleep through music being played or messages being played through their pillows and so on. I mean, in which societies do you think that most of what you forecast has mostly come true? I mean, is it in America, Britain, Russia, China?
Well, it seems to me this is not so much, you can't say that it's a question of national peculiarities or even entirely of political peculiarities. I mean, I think when the technological and applied scientific means are developed, they just tend to be used. I mean, I think one can say that the whole history of recent times in relation to science and technology shows that if you plant the seed of applied science or technology, it proceeds to grow, and it grows according to the laws of its own being. And the laws of its being are not necessarily the same as the laws of our being. I mean, hence this sense which so many people have, and which I think one sees in so many societies, this sense that man is being subjected to his own inventions, that he is now the victim of his own technology and the victim of his own applied science instead of being in control of it.
Suppose that this rather frightful prospect comes about. I mean, are people going to be happy under this kind of regime?
Well, I think you could. I mean, this was one of the sort of what I may call the messages of Brave New World, that it is possible to make people contented with their servitude. I think this can be done. I think it has been done in the past, but I think it could be done even more effectively now, because you can provide them with bread and circuses, and you can provide them with endless amounts of distractions and propaganda.
The people in their millions bask in Pandora's beauteous glow. Their critical faculties are switched off and they thrill to the mere spectacle. How lithe and pretty the creatures are, how awesomely large and lush the landscape is, how obviously and simply sad is an animal in pain. For a more specific example, take the Na'vi themselves. Tall, lean, lithe, appealing in ways you are not supposed to ever quite put your finger on. James Cameron has openly stated that the design philosophy was, more or less, manipulation. Everything about the Na'vi is supposed to make you first sympathize with them, then wish in some nebulous way to fuse with them, to become them.
The Na'vi took a long time to design, but the blue color was never in question because I felt that it was a fundamentally alien skin color that could be quite beautiful. But the idea that they incorporated animal-like features, cat's ears and cat tails and a slightly more protrusive muzzle and a kind of a flatter, more feline nose, big eyes, lemur-like eyes. This was all something that we arrived at over the course of designing these characters. We initially started out with kind of more amphibian-like and reptilian kind of forms and alien structures, you know, kind of antennae and things like that. And we kept realizing that it wouldn't work as a love story to see them not be attractive, but they couldn't be human. And then they kept coming back to just blue-skinned humans. We said, well, that's no good either. So we have to find ways of pushing away from human, but in a way that people would not find off-putting, and in fact might even find to be kind of quite beautiful. I wanted people to say, I want to be one of them.
There's a particularly revealing juxtaposition in this approach. James Cameron brought on scientists to create a believable Pandora. Discounting the floating islands, the flora and fauna in particular are supposed to pass the audience's smell test. Consequently, they looked at real-world organisms, at the marks of evolution they all possess, and they tried to simulate that. Anything too strange, too out of place, too alien would preclude the sort of glossy-eyed daze the audience is meant to watch these movies with. Everything has to make sense at a glance. The art is in making people not notice. The Na'vi are not placental mammals. The Na'vi do not breastfeed. The Na'vi have no use for the booba, and yet they have the booba.
I thought you were gay.
Why should this be so?
Are the Na'vi placental mammals? From the waist down, she looks sort of like a mermaid. Why does she have breasts?
She needs breasts because this is a movie for human people.
Cameron understands that humans, particularly males, enjoy the booba, and women will put up with them so long as they are concealed by nice clothes and are not threateningly large. This is vital to the Na'vi's appeal. Exploiting this pre-conscious love for the jiggly milk moons was deemed so important for the movie's effect that the Na'vi themselves contradict the design approach taken for the rest of the world. Because the name Avatar refers not to the synthetic Na'vi bodies the humans create in the first movie, but to the Na'vi themselves. It's why the movies retain the name Avatar, despite the narrative significance of this technology being absent in 2 out of the 3 movies. The Na'vi are not avatars for fictional humans, they are avatars for real humans. They are avatars for us. The movie puts us to sleep and we dreamwalk our way into our new hosts. This helps explain why, as characters, they are all so empty. James Cameron faced a similar problem to that you find in single-player video games. If you want the player to play as your character, you write a strongly defined, verbal, assertive protagonist with a distinct point of view. If you want them to play as themselves in your world, to treat the protagonist as their avatar, you have to be careful not to give the protagonist a character that contradicts the player's wants and feelings. James Cameron takes the latter approach. Jake Sully is blank beyond the vaguest hint at values because the male viewer is supposed to inhabit him and bring all their values with him. Loak, his mopey son, is blank save for the vaguest hints at teenage emotions, so teenagers can inhabit him. Neytiri is blank save for her fiery temper, so women can inhabit her. The Avatar movies make a conscious effort to say nothing overtly through their characters, because giving the characters a strong point of view would clash with the viewers, and a clash would wake them up. Avatar characters must be vague enough for everyone to live inside them. A movie that's equivalently purposive, which has something to say, which wants you to engage consciously with its message, does not require this sort of approach. The alien design in District 9, to take just one example, is deliberately off-putting. While the enlarged eyes were eventually supposed to help you connect with them, a near universal trick, even The Fly uses it, the goal was to present them as the epitome of the other. Nobody outside the most depraved furry convention would want to fuck a prawn. We were supposed to find them revolting, to be pushed away from them at the outset. The goal was then to show by their actions a kind of sentience, even an inner humanity that we have in common. The story allows an engaged audience to consider how they treat the other in their daily lives, to recognize their own prejudices, to evaluate how they themselves behave in our real world. District 9 is a dialectical work. It's a conversation with the audience, encouraging but not tricking us into introspection. Avatar, likewise, has something to say, but it takes a very different approach.
Am I correct that apart from irresistible entertainment, the movie is saying something that you consider to be urgent and
absolutely,
real?
Absolutely. From the late 60s and that kind of formative period for me, and that was also the beginning of the environmental movement. And when I was in high school, one of the plays that we put on was a play that I wrote called Extinction Syndrome, and it was about our human proclivity to destroy ourselves and the world around us, and it was an anti-war screed, and it was about pollution and a bunch of other stuff. It was very sophomoric, but the point is that I was thinking about that stuff then, and I was thinking about it a lot when I wrote Avatar, because by then we were in Iraq, so all the sort of colonial period reference points, the historical reference points, were now resonating in the exact present moment. So now you have a combination of the comments on corporate special interest groups and lobbies sort of hijacking the democratic process and being responsible for the degradation of the environment and all that sort of thing, and our kind of overall kind of denial of that. And these are all things that made sense to me.
The Na'vi bear a strong resemblance in their behavior and their predicament to the Native Americans and other threatened indigenous people.
Right. As humans in an industrialized society, we have a kind of entitled feeling with respect to nature, that we can take what we want and we don't have to give back. And that feeling of entitlement is also behind the idea that when Europeans with their guns and horses and armor and so on came to the New World, they had a sense of entitlement. Right. And what they could take, they would take, and they did. And that's in our human nature. It's something we need to recognize in ourselves, and it's something that if we don't correct, we're going to drive off a cliff at 90 miles an hour with the top down and the radio playing in about 10 to 20 years. That's just me again, but that's what I believe.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
James Cameron's Avatar movies are making less and less money each time because drugs eventually wear off. Sometime around Avatar 12 or 13, he might need to start topping up his bank account, and that's where this video's sponsor, FreeCash, comes in. FreeCash is an app that lets you get paid for playing games. You sign up on FreeCash.com, you select what sort of money you're looking to earn, how long you've got, and it'll tell you what's on offer. As a rule, I do not trust anything with free in the name because it usually winds up being a stealth tax. But unlike some people, I try to vet my sponsors. Think of it like a targeted advertising platform. Advertisers pay FreeCash to put their games in front of you, and FreeCash shares the money they get from the advertisers with the users. If you like the game, you and the advertiser both win. If you don't, oh well. FreeCash's 4.7-star rating from over 260,000 reviews on Trustpilot should let you know that this is not one of those promises that's too good to be true. All you need to do is sign up on FreeCash.com, enable app tracking so it can track your progress, and then play mobile games and earn money. FreeCash payouts can come via PayPal, Venmo, Google Play, Amazon, or Apple gift cards, prepaid Visa cards, bank transfer, and in some cases even crypto if that's your thing. Basically, you can get it in just the way you like it. Sex. Scan the QR code on your screen or navigate to the link in my description to receive a $10 bonus on the first offer you start. And that's FreeCash. Thanks to FreeCash for sponsoring the channel. Now, back to the video.
We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
The message of Avatar is no less sophomoric than it was when he first wrote that student play. Done properly, as it was in Avatar 1, less so in Avatar 2, and not at all in Avatar 3, loose environmentalist messaging resonates with just about everyone, because everyone likes nature and nobody likes seeing it suffer. But Cameron is a bit more radical on this subject than that. He made a show of putting his money where his high school hippie mouth is. Using the proceeds from the first movie, he built a huge solar array that he claimed could meet the entire electrical demand for his 2 sequels, rendering them clean. This avoids the charge of hypocrisy, only if you don't ask where solar panels come from or where they go when they die. We have to do this for the future, for our children, and as a moral responsibility to the planet, Cameron said when he announced this development. There's a predictable irony in the first Avatar movie focusing on habitat destruction to procure the extremely valuable unobtainium because some rich asshole thought the ends justified the means. The only mistake he made was in not having said rich arsehole claim he was doing it to save the planet. Cameron's moral sensibilities may simply have hardened with age, but his craft has definitely matured. Which is what makes the Avatar movies more sinister than they first appear. The movie's tremendous box office returns are proof that the technical challenge has been a resounding success. That the franchise largely escaped notice in the culture wars is proof that its message, which is far more radical than the gender-bending revolution and far more costly, was subconsciously implanted. The audience, far from engaging with the message, was entranced. And while you're in this trance state, the Avatar movies smuggle their point past your brain and into your heart.
I'm Christina Segala. I'm a third-year playwright.
Hi, Christina.
Hi. When I saw Avatar, one of the things that really struck me is I was just so caught up in the story that I didn't realize how many political messages there were.
When I turned the script in to the studio, I got a lot of pushback along the line of, can we cut down on the let's see, new age hippie tree hugger bullshit. From a trusted friend and confidant of mine at the studio. And I said, theoretically we could, but then I wouldn't want to make the film because that's why I want to make the film. So we just have to trust that we can attract an audience through the visuals and the promise of action and adventure. And then they're going to have to go on that ride, and y'all are just going to have to sit down and shut up about it.
You barely even notice it. You never interrogate it. If Avatar doesn't work for you, well, you can safely ignore it. If Avatar does work for you, well, then you carry this message out of the cinema as an assumption, not thought about, but intangibly felt. And the message is this. Not just modernity, not just technology and the means and methods of progress. No, in Avatar, humanity itself is evil. Some humans in Avatar 1, humans generally in Avatar 2, and come Avatar 3, humanity is not just evil, it is irredeemable. The movie's message is, we all deserve to die.
Fuck you.
None of which is to say that James Cameron is some sort of evil genius supervillain trying to corrupt the youthful mind. Rather, it's to say that he is a genius, but his genius is technical, not philosophical. The result is that he is uniquely capable of imparting themes and messages that are evil because they are illiterate. It's the radicalism of the uninformed, the message of the midwit. His Avatar movies are unparalleled when it comes to the scientific craft of filmmaking, but they fail on plot, character, and world building, and they fail especially hard on theme, because their theme is a thoughtlessly extreme form of misanthropy. Cameron himself intended his movies to spread this common assumption, saying in an interview, and I quote, "I'm not frustrated that Avatar isn't solving it," says Cameron, referring to global warming, who calls President Trump the most narcissistic asshole in history since fucking Nero. And he adds, "Yeah, you can quote that. I'm frustrated because the human race seems to be delusional about what they think is going to happen next. We are going backwards. But who's to say we wouldn't be going backwards even faster if it wasn't for these films? There isn't an alternative Earth without Avatar we can point to and say it made this measurable difference. What we can say is the Avatar films are on the right side of history." End quote. Lest you think implying the whole human race is on the wrong side of history was a mistake, no. This is, in fact, what old Jimmy C really believes. As he says in a separate interview, I wanted the audience to side with the indigenous people and see humans as the invaders from space who were ravaging their world. A flip on all the aliens invade Earth stories we grew up with. I was betting that through the power of cinema, the audience could be taken on a journey in which they become the enemy, and maybe as a result saw themselves, however briefly, as nature sees us. Alien, invader, destroyer. This sentiment does not have to be true, thoughtful, reasoned, or laid out. It's damaging because it's not. As Jonathan Swift famously put it, reasoning will never make a man correct an ill opinion which by reasoning he never acquired. The harm is done because the misanthropic self-hatred can never be corrected. No matter how many Greta speeches you listen to, how many net zero policies you adopt, how many depopulation dreams and negative growth fantasies you fall for, it can never be enough. Humans, by existing, offend you. It's a mindset that's responsible for much that is wrong with our world. This theme was merely seeded in the first Avatar movie. The first movie really was Fern Gully but Blue, The Last Samurai but Alien, Dances with Smurfs, and so on. The story of a man, Jake Sully, who steals the premise from Gattaca and takes his brother's place on an important mission. As happens in just about every noble savage story, he infiltrates a group of natives as his Smurf sonar and falls in love with one of them. He goes native. He turns against his own kind.
Oh, god damn it! Son of a bitch, idea-stealing assholes! You sons of bitches! Dancing with Smurfs was my idea! My idea! You can't just take Dancing with Smurfs and call it something else!
But in Avatar 1, the implications were limited. The villains, generic evil company number 8476, were a stand-in for rapacious capitalism. Unobtainium is simply valuable, and in pursuit of profit, generic evil company number 8476 goes to war with nature. Sully Smurf and his new girlfriend defeat the company, and its military stooge, Chip Hazard.
We have met the enemy. He is big. He is fast. He has allied himself with the organized scum. The rules of engagement have changed.
Every living thing that crawls, flies, or squats in the mud wants to kill you and eat your eyes for jujubes.
Who is a villain by virtue of his human values as much as he is by his human actions. Sully and his scientist friends, who love nature and are therefore good, are saved by nature, liberated from their human forms and granted new life by Awa, the Na'vi god. It's just the Gaia hypothesis, beloved by hippies, spiritualists, and overgrown children everywhere, made real. By severing your link to your human self, by becoming fully indigenous and in harmony with nature, you are redeemed. Fair enough, says you. Man is often not kind to nature and does bad things to his planet. You don't have to be a full-on apocalyptic climatist to think we should treat living things and nature herself with more respect. But in Way of Water, things get dialed up. Unobtainium, the ravage of the planet for mere wealth, that is not enough, not anymore. We've got to ramp it up. So in Avatar 2, the Earth is literally dying. We rape and pillage for the sake of raping and pillaging, and the combined sins of our race have led to the complete environmental collapse of our home planet. Now, Pandora is not just a resource to be plundered, it is in fact our last hope for survival. The Way of Water spends next to no time actually investigating the implications. Its idea is extremely simple. It adds in a new McMuffin for the villains, whale brain goo that, if imbibed, grants humans immortality. We commit grave sins in our pursuit, once again, of mere profit. The brain goo, granting immortality to people stuck on a doomed world, is for some reason immensely valuable, and so we murdered the whales to get at it. But does this mean that our other actions on Pandora are more justifiable? Those tied to colonization rather than mere wealth extraction? After all, we have to live somewhere, and the Smurfs seem to refuse us that as well. On the whole, these films are terribly written, so the movie confuses itself. Not having been planned in advance, they decided they needed to have Quarritch back as the villain, and to solve the inconvenient fact of his death, they retconned a backup plan into the first movie's story.
Powers that be thought it prudent that I do this backup, just in case. Just what the hell am I supposed to say now?
This is all your memories and your personality. Right. We're gonna send this back to Earth, where you're growing in a lab as we speak.
Anyway, the idea is to get the minds of the saltiest on-world operators recombinant bodies. Your recom now, Colonel, loaded with my memories and my charm. What you won't remember is my death, because it hasn't happened yet. And it ain't gonna.
We had a great time working together on this movie, and it's so much so that I really mourn the fact that we killed him off at the end of the film. But as a science fiction writer, I might be able to find a workaround.
So now we have the ability to extract human memories and consciousness itself and to upload them into new bodies. Not just human bodies, though this must logically be possible, and it must logically render the whale brain goo valueless, but Navi bodies. So we already have two unacknowledged solutions to the colonization problem. We can repent of our human sins, give ourselves over to nature, and hope the goddess Awa gives to us what she gave to Jake Sully. Or we can upload our consciousness into Navi bodies and live on the planet without her assistance. Surely many humans on Earth would accept either of these terms. But if that's the case, and if we continue defiling the planet anyway, then the movie's telling us that our fault is in our very nature as human beings. It's not just that we desire riches, it's that we destroy things for the sake of destroying them. The closest way of water gets to offering us a chance of redemption is the existence of one or two human scientists who either A. live off-grid with the Navi, or B. go along with the world murder while harboring secret regrets. In which case, it's merely that most of humanity, 99.99995% of us, is horrible.
Bullshit!
As with the first movie, the pure and chosen few, the enlightened scientists, may be redeemed, but this redemption is presumptively denied to the rest of us. It doesn't matter if only a dozen humans survive, and the Navi are entirely justified in refusing the remaining few billion of us their last chance at life. So, what of the third movie? If Avatar 1 seeded the idea, and Avatar 2 condemned us by siding exclusively with the Navi against the human race, perhaps Avatar 3 will give us a chance. It's the culmination of this saga. The next movie begins a new cycle. Perhaps it'll give humans a voice with which to argue for our own survival. Perhaps the Navi will provide us with the means to save ourselves. Or just perhaps it'll conclude overtly that we don't deserve to live. Let's find out. We begin with a glorious vista. Two Smurfs, the brothers from the previous movie, are flying their sex slaves through the floating island.
Whoa, bro! You're in my way, bro! It's cool riding with you, bro. I gotta get back, bro.
Just wonderful, isn't it, how this alien race on an alien planet has 2025 Zoomer dialect and hairstyles. It's called convergent evolution, the separate development of the same annoying trait in two disconnected species at two disconnected times and places. Avatar 3 is aware that nobody remembers Avatar movies more than a week after we've seen them, so its opening scenes are given the job of reminding us.
Tell me one thing before you go. How did I die? You got shot.
Correctamundo. Sunbro and Brobro went to rescue Spider, Chip Hazard's retconned human son, from his father and the vile humans, and Brobro got himself killed. It was extremely sad, except that nobody knew what Brobro was even called.
We could have escaped, but I made us go back for Spider. Then we had to go back. How'd that to die?
Besides the reminder, this introductory beat sets up one of the movie's plotlines. Sunbro is blamed for the death of Brobro. His family don't trust him. He feels alone and outcast. He wants to prove himself, but his parents won't let him. And if you do remember the previous movie, which is unlikely, you might now be thinking, okay, okay, but wasn't that pretty much his thing in Way of Water? And you'd be right. Fire and Ass will carry this story to its conclusion, but it also has to justify its 3.5-hour runtime.
Well, 3 hours and 7 minutes of story.
What kind of provisions do you recommend people bring into this film so that they can comfortably watch?
Yeah.
3 hours and 7 minutes.
Well, popcorn's good.
Yes, love it.
Because there's salt in popcorn, and osmotically that reduces the amount of urine.
And this means we first have to rerun the story pretty much from its beginning.
I love you, brother. Scowl.
But you see, using Bro's death as an excuse to rerun the story presents us with a problem. This sequence is not a flashback, it's happening in real time. It can happen in real time because the Smurfs are a bit like Tolkien's elves. When they die, their immortal spirits return to Valinor, or in this case, Ewa, and living Smurfs can commune with them, as Sunbro is doing here, by connecting their dicks to a world tree. This means that the Na'vi shouldn't view death in the way that humans do. As with Tolkien's elves, death is not the end. Their spirits live on, and you can chat to them whenever you want. This doesn't mean it's impossible for Sunbro, his mother Smurfette, and his father Sully Smurf to have unresolved trauma resulting from Bro's death, but it does make it harder for this trauma to manifest itself as bitterness and blame, because the parents can commune with Bro at any time, and he has forgiven Sunbro. There are ways to write around this problem, but writing around a problem requires that you recognize that it is a problem, and Avatar 3 does not, so it just ignores it. The movie proceeds as though the parents have never bothered communing with their dead son, whose death is the source of the grief that colors their relationship with their living son, which will in turn motivate an entire subplot in this movie.
I killed my brother. No matter what happens, I have to live with that for the rest of my life.
Another minor alteration to the formula, all Avatar movies have their narrator, and for the first two, that narrator was Jake Sully. His narration in that movie is diegetic. Ellen Ripley, the lead scientist, tells him to leave a series of video logs documenting his experiences on Pandora. It's extremely boring because Sam Worthington is extremely boring.
Well, I guess I better go. I don't want to be late for my own party.
What's that sort of droning noise in the background there?
It's my birthday after all.
Low, sort of droning, boring, kind of miserable, whining, boring kind of sort of boring noise going on.
But also because his narration explains the movie more than it explains his own unique perspective.
Okay, location, shack.
Twat!
And this approach continues, shorn of the diegetic element in The Way of Water, where Jake Sully is again the narrator, and he explains things you've just seen while offering no insight whatsoever. But the idea is that Sully's unique position, the human who became a Smurf, makes him the ideal guide for a human audience. He makes the strange relatable. Fire and Ass, though, that's gonna switch things up, because now Sunbro provides the narrative voice. Unfortunately, he has even less to say about events than Jake Sully did, because he's relegated beneath the A-plot and arguably the B-plot as well, and into the most superfluous and repetitive plotline in the entire movie. Since the extent of his character is, once again, Emo Zuma, he has absolutely nothing to offer, and his narrations are so infrequent and spread out that you forget they're even a thing. Still, at least the actor's expressive.
How much fun was it for you playing this part in this movie?
I wouldn't...
how hard was it?
I wouldn't say it was fun, and I wouldn't say it was hard.
Meanwhile, Spider is having a chat with Ripley Smurf. Ripley Smurf is Ripley Prime's as yet unexplained daughter. She is a teenager in this movie, but she's still voiced by a near 80-year-old Sigourney Weaver, and the results are... they're the results.
Please! We need you! Don't push me away!
Spider fondles her tentacle. He wishes he had one as well, because then he could rape Fauna, shove it in Flora, and commune with the ancestors.
I wish I could do it.
I wish I could do it. If I have another stupid seizure underwater.
Yeah,
You'd be me without a mask.
This is another remember this beat. Ripley Smurf has unique powers, but she has unique vulnerability. She can exercise unparalleled control with her rape tentacle, but using it tends to give her epileptic seizures, and she did indeed nearly drown in the previous movie. I don't remember many other great trilogies that really linger long in the culture needing to do this. Like in Empire Strikes Back, you don't have Han and Luke having long conversations saying, hey, remember the Death Star? Oh god, that was great. Remember when I went down the train? Yeah. That was really risky. Remember when I saved you from Darth Vader? You don't need to do this in stories with memorable stories and characters. This movie does, though.
I think this was a good move from them because, like I said, I couldn't remember anything from the movies and I'd literally just seen them, so excellent job, Cameron. Know your audience, you know? I mean, there are a couple of films, Thor Love and Thunder, no, not Love and Thunder, fucking Thor 2, that pulls it off. There's this mystical quality. A few directors have managed to harness it, but there is a way you can make a film where no one can remember it.
Elsewhere and later, Sunbro narrates how people deal with grief their own way. Smurfette mopes and prays. Sully Smurf keeps himself busy. We find that we're still with the Sea Smurfs. Sully Smurf and Sunbro swim down to the wrecked boats from the last movie, gathering weapons they can use against the humans who are inevitably going to return. Remembering the previous movie always harms your enjoyment of the next one in the franchise. In Way of Water, the Sully fam left their jungle Smurfs because they believed the humans would hunt them down and they didn't want to put their people in danger. So instead, they came to put somebody else's people in danger. The same premise operates here. Sully believes the humans will inevitably return. What's more, the humans should, but won't, know more or less where they are. We are going to repeat the same basic structure, opening in place, then leaving on an urgent mission, but we're going to do it without the same justification.
You're supposed to be collecting guns. That thing's useless. Focus, boy.
Focus M.
That thing isn't useless. It's very important to Smurfette. It's her father's bow. Also, speaking practically, Smurf bows are super effective against humans because they forgot how to make bulletproof glass. Sully presents his haul to the Smurf King and his wacky wife, the pregnant sea bitch, but they are extremely against using human weapons, even to defend that which is most dear to them, because they are they're noble.
This is not the naughty way, Jakeswood.
Weapons of metal are forbidden. To touch them poisons the heart.
They are effective, you dumb fucks. James Cameron ran into a problem here.
This is CNN.
Ah, damn it!
James Cameron says he cut about 10 minutes of gunplay action from Avatar: The Way of Water. The filmmaker, who rose to fame with such films as The Terminator and True Lies, tells Esquire Middle East, "I don't know if I would want to make that film now. I don't know if I would want to fetishize the gun in our current world."
What has America's youth come to? Kids won't even kill their own grandparents!
In his original script, he had Sully Smurf offer these weapons 3 times, and the Sea Smurfs eventually accepted that they would need those weapons to protect their homes, their families, and their whales. But then that school shooting happened, and little Jimmy C decided this was an opportunity to take a stand. "I did not want to glorify or fetishize the assault weapon," Cameron said. Now I'm a little bit trapped because I got a character who defines himself as a Marine, and the Marine's ethos is a Marine and his rifle are the most powerful weapon in the world. That's how they think. And so I thought, alright, I'm going to keep it singular to Jake and his way of doing things, but I'm not going to let him contaminate the Na'vi way and their value system. James, your hero uses guns. Him giving Sunbro a rifle in this film is a symbol of his newfound trust in him. It literally resolves their arc. Your hero uses guns to save people. The Sea Smurfs not using guns gets lots of them killed because the evil Smurfs' guns are more effective. your hero uses guns against the evil Smurfs. The way you've presented it, James, fewer good people would die if they all used guns. And I don't really see why killing scores of people with knives, bows, crossbows, explosive arrows, spears, blunt force trauma, drowning, and animal attack is morally better than killing them with guns. Fuck off, you preachy shit.
The mourning period is not even over. Your woman needs you.
Smurfette gives him a dark look because you see that big family hug that rounded off the last movie? Yeah, that didn't happen. She hates him now. She really hates him. Sully Smurf tries to protest. He says he can't defeat gunships with spears. But Big Chief Whalewater says no, we sunk the big ship in the last movie and this proves we don't need guns. And anyway, there's an alternative.
Ride, great Toruk. When you ride the beast, you become the beast.
As a rule, having a character refuse the call when he has already answered the call in the previous movie is not advisable. You can come up with some good, solid reason why he's decided he can't do it again. This movie opts for when you ride the beast, you become the beast, which might imply that riding Big Bird turns Sully Smurf into something he does not want to be. Violent, rageful, uncontrolled, a beast, as he says. Except that we know it doesn't because we were there in the last movie and that didn't happen. The first movie does play with the idea that shoving your fuckstick in an animal sends signals both ways, that you in some sense feel what the animal is feeling, but Whalewater ditched that notion and Fire and Ash does not reprise it.
I will not become Toruk Mato again.
So what we're left with is that Sully Smurf doesn't want to do the thing he's already done twice to win because it's not time for him to win yet, so he can't. Over with the irredeemable shit-stains we call the human race, a diver is going through a wrecked ship. Is this not the same wreck pile Sully Smurf was at earlier? Are they not right now just around the corner from the Smurf village? Do they not already know where to find the Sea Smurfs and their leader?
We didn't find any Navi bodies, just crew.
The absence of Smurf bodies confirms that Sully Smurf must still be alive. I guess if you assume the Smurfs wouldn't just have collected their dead for absorption by their tree god, as everybody knows they do. But, you know, since this is an Avatar movie and we're 10 minutes in, this is all done so we can repeat a chunk of the last movie. Chip Hazard, believing that Sully Smurf is still alive, asks General Woman for a ship so he can hunt down the terrorists.
You just give me a ship and
I gave you a ship. It's right there, on the bottom.
General Woman is such a bizarre character. Her sole role across 2 movies is to say no when Chip asks for a favor, even when that favor corresponds perfectly with her own objectives. There she is in Whalewater bitching that the Smurfs are impeding her efforts to build a settlement. Chip suggests hunting down Sully, the Osama bin Smurf to the Smurfs Al-Qaeda, and she says no. Sully Smurf is the leader of the resistance and humanity's most wanted, but still, no. Here's Chip now, asking for a ship so he can go and take out Sully Smurf, and she says no again, even though they have an extremely good idea where he's hiding, which they should be able to confirm by scanning from orbit. Oh, but let's not ask why the humans don't make better use of their space assets. The opening shot of Whalewater proves they've got everything they need to devastate the Smurfs, they just refuse to use it, which I suppose in a weird way makes the humans much nicer than the Smurfs. We could have killed them all, and yet we let them live.
You brought me out here, 26 trillion miles for a single mission. A kinetic hard kill up against one guy. I ain't backing off.
Back with Son Bro, he shows girlfriend Bro Smurfette's broken bow and said the spirit of his ancestors lives within it but it's broken. When she points out that that is easily fixed, he says no because it's ruined, and then he breaks into narration as we watch Smurfette mope and Sully Smurf make his devil weapons that James Cameron hates so much. Son Bro tells us that everything he touches gets ruined. His family doesn't mention it, but it's there in the room.
Come here. A son for a son. Why are you crying? He's just happy to see you, boy.
No, Way of Water, that never happened. Nope, that's not Smurfette smiling there. This was a totally unresolved conflict. Speaking of, Sully Smurf hands Smurfette an explosive arrow, but she throws it away. He asks if she agrees with the pregnant sea bitch. He gets frustrated. He says using those super effective Smurf weapons is like bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Ava will provide. Yeah? So where was Ava? Where was Ava when our son... Jake!
Now, anyone who's ever been in a relationship with a woman knows there are some times where you can't say anything right. So naturally, this upsets Smurfette because, as she tells us, she has nothing here. No forest, no people. All she has is her faith that this is all Awa's plan. Well, you know, that and her virulent racism.
You have this family, and you have me. I love you so much.
I don't think she likes you, bro. Speaking of, we're back to Sunbro, who takes part in one of those pretty screensaver sequences that make the movie feel so very brisk. The movie isn't quite sure what to do with Sunbro. On the one hand, him being an emo is extremely important to one of its most redundant side quests later, yet we quite often see him going around and having a fun old time with his friends and generally being quite cheerful. James Cameron has said that another revision he made to the Fire and Ass script, reacting to audience feedback about The Way of Water, was to throw in more whale shit. Everybody loved the whale shit in the last movie, so he wanted to give the audience more of it. He did this by pressing Ctrl-C and then Ctrl-V. But I can well believe the original draft did not have Sunbro replaying his emo arc, and the reason there's such a difference between his demeanor in these scenes and his demeanor in whale-related scenes is that Cameron couldn't be bothered to properly embed his reused material. The evidence is in this scene's very first line. Remember how in the last movie, Whale Bro was outcast by his people for the crime of self-defense, but then he redeemed himself by fighting to save everyone in the big battle? Yeah, I remember that. But, well, no.
It sucks that PyCon's still an outcast.
Fuck, we're doing this again.
I'm sorry, but by the token way he bears the deaths, all those who died in the battle.
He saved everyone. Everyone knows he saved everyone. The whale's pacifist doctrine was absurd enough in the last movie. Essentially, they held that the evil humans went around murdering whole pods, including outcast whales, and he fought back and survived. So they blamed him because his violence caused the humans to kill the whales they were already killing, because these hyper-intelligent sea wombles are fucking morons. And now we're expected to believe that the Sea Smurfs he saved never interceded on his behalf. They never made his case to the whales, so they now blame him for everyone killed in the course of saving them. Anywho, scenes in this movie aren't so much stitched together as they are splattered onto the screen, so we just jump between them and hope we're getting closer to the end. We leave this scene and find everybody sleeping at night. Then Spider's oxygen mask starts beeping. Then he starts having a fit. Luckily, somebody wakes up and notices, and then the whole fam, bar Smurfette, starts frantically searching for a spare mask. Interesting. I'm going to assume this is because of an unforeseen malfunction, because the last movie established that these things never run out of battery, and if they were to run out of battery, he would surely wear a spare one around his neck at all times, because he needs it to live. So yeah, malfunction, it must just be a malfunction. Moving on.
The Wind Traders! The Wind Traders are here!
Sully Smurf gathers the Sully fam together and he tells them he's come to a decision. They are sending Spider away.
You can't live in a mask day and night.
He has spent his entire life wearing a mask. What the fuck are you on about, Jim?
It's too dangerous. You're one dead battery away from being dead yourself.
You fucking what, mate? This has literally never been an issue. We had 3 hours and 12 minutes of it not being an issue just 3 years ago. You can't just invent new mechanics on the fly. That's cheating. And anyway, those air traders who've just farted their way into the world, they are air traders. You're sending him to friendly scientists because they have batteries. Know what you could do instead? You could have them send the batteries to you. It's how trade works. And in the meantime, just attach a spare mask to his dreadlocks and keep it there at all times. They have little battery readouts in their HUD now. I refuse to believe he would go to sleep wearing a mask on low power.
He belongs with his own kind. And what kind is that, Mother? Alien? Kitty. Pink-ass. You hate them so much, that's all you see.
Now, you might be thinking, bit odd of Smurfette to hate humans given she married, fucked and had kids with one. In the last movie, the Sea Smurfs were racist against other types of Smurf, and they don't seem to mind Spider. But Smurfette, oh no, she's seething. Look at her there, seething away. And we haven't even glimpsed the depth of her filicidal racism yet.
Sully, stick together.
Yeah, and Ohana means leave your kids behind. Kill them if you have to.
What the fuck?
Then Sully Smurf comes up with an ingenious compromise.
Right, how about this? We all go together to drop him off.
I'll remind these blue freaks that the objection was to sending Spider away. I'll also remind the movie that Sully Smurf was gathering weapons so he could stay and protect the Sea Smurfs from imminent invasion. It was only yesterday. But because the movie needs this to happen, nobody thinks to voice these objections, so the whole fam is now going to abandon their people so they can fly off and abandon Spider together.
A son. For a son.
Stop it, none of that happened. Big Chief Wind of Sphincter, head of the air traders, is not happy with this new proposal. He sensibly points out that traders cannot be seen to be taking sides in a war, which rather implies that the humans are absolutely fine leaving the Smurfs to do their thing, so long as they don't try to wipe out our species. Remind me who the villains are again? Since taking Sully Smurf would be like inviting Muhammad Atta into first class, Wind Trader Man thinks this might violate their neutrality.
Maybe you're mistaken. Toruk Makto was never on your ship.
Not convincing, James.
But if he was ever aboard, then him and his woman would be happy to fly as outriders and protect your caravan.
And now you're just trying to call attention to it. No sensible character would agree to this. So naturally, Big Chief Wind of Sphincter agrees to this, and we're all off on a nice abandon your family vacation. But hey, at least it looks real pretty. At night, everyone has a big old dance party for reasons of the culture. Sunbro breaks into narrator mode again.
Everyone mourns in their own way. For me, it's being up here alone.
We just saw a bunch of establishment shots showing that you're not up there alone.
I feel him with me. I hear his voice in the wind.
Oh, stop, bro. I'm so fucking done with this. The next day, Sully Smurf gives him his evil assault rifle. Better take it off him before he goes and shoots up Smurffield Elementary.
Jesus.
Sunbro offers to fly escort with Sully Smurf, but Sully Smurf says, "No, you stupid boy."
Where's your comms? I called you like 5 times. Where are your comms? It's rule number 1. You can't even do that.
He was instrumental in saving everyone in the previous movie. But what's this? While all this is going on, a routine military flyby has spotted the air traders. They have spotted who's on board, and they've been spotted by the people on board. So now Chip Hazard is onto them, and they know Chip Hazard is onto them, which means they should change course, or perhaps send the Sully fam off on their own to avoid capture. They made this whole trip on their avian sex slaves in the last film. They don't actually need to be aboard these airships, and now they're just putting everyone in danger again. But one of the ingredients in the Avatar formula is that things happen to force the plot. Quite often, scenes like this have one purpose and one purpose only. In this case, telling the villains where to go to effectuate a later meeting. The idea that other characters who are party to the same information might react in their own ways, that never occurs to the writers. This isn't just true of the heroes in this particular scene, it's true of the ancillary villains as well. General Woman's objection to giving Chip Hazard a ship earlier in the film made no sense, but it had a very simple justification justification. We don't know where Sully Smurf is for some reason, and we can't trust another ship to a guy who got the last one blown up. But now they do know where Sully Smurf is, and they don't even need Chip to lead the operation. They should send a full force themselves to bring this mega ultra terrorist to justice. But they won't, because it's not time for that yet. Chip doesn't even ask them to send a force, he would rather just rape a bird. He is not the imminent threat, however. These are the Fire Smurfs, the people of Ass. Pretty much everyone predicted that Cameron would eventually get around to nicking the indigenous tribe corrupted by man trope from the genre he steals everything else from, and this is them. Their thing is fire. They really like fire.
No shit.
They seem to be able to summon it pretty much at will, a trick they will use in this scene, and a couple more times in the first act, and then pretty much never again. The Sully fam and the air traders recognize the threat, so they immediately fuck their birds and take off to join the battle. No, Jack, what are you doing, Jack? You can't be defending yourself with guns. That's evil. You should kill the Smurf way with fucking giant ballistas. Sunbro grabs a rifle of his own, I guess meaning that the air traders who trade with humans share the Sea Smurfs' aversion to human weaponry. But he forgets his comms necklace again, and when he tries to retrieve it, it catches fire and it burns. Oh dear.
Your dad was right. You are useless.
He shags his own bird and takes off, but almost immediately gets shot and narrowly avoids plunging to his death. It happens quite a lot in this sequence. Sunbro, Sully Smurf, Smurfette, Spider, and the kids all get their nearly dead moments, and this is actually counterproductive. Lazy action movies do it a lot. They want you to fear for their heroes, so they throw in these near-death experiences, but they do it so often that the opposite result is achieved. You know none of them is going to die. It's far too soon for anything like that to happen, and once you realize this is the case, and the movie's trying to trick you into thinking that it isn't, it sucks the tension out of later fight scenes as well. Similarly, counterproductive devices are overused in this movie, like suffering animals. The last movie's whale hunt was the closest it got to a moment of genuine emotion, because the romance of the hunt turns to horror when you witness it. Whaling in particular is gruesome because you know the animals are intelligent, and you see how long and how much pain it takes to kill them. It was a cheap emotional trick, but it was the most effective one in that movie. This movie though, well, it offs animals with all the empathy of a halal butcher. There goes a bird, there goes a bird, oops, there goes another one. Oh no, it happened again. It's quick and it often passes without comment, which is especially weird when we're meant to believe the Smurfs are extremely in touch with nature and even attached to the minds of their animals. There's only so many times you can see a bird die, receive at most a cursory reference, and then be forgotten about before you become desensitized to that as well. Then, some Fire Smurfs land on the airship. I do like that the movie sort of accounts for draw weight here. Spider is a mere human, he can't generate anything like full power with a Smurf bow. It's also the first of several instances where I actually like Spider, who was extremely annoying in the last movie. But look at him go, putting his life on the line against a much larger enemy, all to save the adoptive family who are trying to abandon him. He's a good kid, is Spider. Almost makes you forget he noticed his mask beeping again and didn't go to change it because he's a fucking moron. I can't wait to see how the movie rewards his stupid loyalty. More Fire Smurfs land on top of the airship and start puncturing its gas balloon, but Sully Smurf fights them off. What an evil, evil man. His horrible, immoral assault rifle is spotted by the Fire Smurfs leader, Flaming Hot Smurfess. Flaming Hot Smurfess's thing is that she is extremely evil, so naturally she wants that assault rifle. But her fascination comes because this is the first time she's seen one, which is extremely odd. These people fly around for no other reason than murder. They live for killing, and they don't live all that far away, meaning that the most violent violent, rampaging group of Smurfs on this planet has never before targeted or even interacted with the humans. I don't believe you, movie.
I am the fire! He gets higher!
You actually didn't need to do that, because if the gas is flammable and you've already punctured the gas bag, you could have just used your regular fire weapons, but hey ho, I suppose it looks cool. Sully Smurf slips off the gas bag, but he catches his rifle on a rope, so he's fine. Smurfette gets shot by flaming hot Smurfess, then knocked off her bird, but she Homer Simpsons her way to the surface and is fine. The rest of the Sully fam get on a bird, but it gets shot and they fall down, but they land unscathed, so it's fine. And the movie tries to hit you with the suffering animals feels again as the poor flying manta ray creature gets dragged down with the burning wreckage. This is effective because, unlike the heroes, this poor creature doesn't deserve to suffer. Case in point, this could all have been avoided if you carried a fucking spare. The only backup mask is on the crashed ship, but the kids hear screaming from that direction. They sneak up to the perimeter and see the fire Smurfs brutally murdering everyone by cutting off their rape tentacles, which kills them outright. It is described elsewhere as a fate worse than death, which is a nice touch because it's one of the vanishingly few instances where the Avatar movies bother fleshing out the Smurfs. Those tentacles are how they commune with nature and with the world tree, and so with their ancestors. It figures that castrating them would be considered a fate worse than death, though this whole bit pretty much confirms that the Fire Smurfs are not raiders in the traditional sense, attacking caravans primarily to steal their stuff. They're really just murderers, and that is much less interesting. They spot the kids, and this begins the first of far too many chase sequences. I'm sorry, that, Sunbro, that is unforgivable. You should have just let yourself die rather than use that gun. We briefly cut away to Chip Hazard and his fellow Smurf Marine, who we knew were coming here. This cutaway establishes that they are indeed coming here. It's an approach this movie opts for a lot. The 5 to 10 second cutaway to preload to the next beat. There's a few in just these next several minutes. We left the chase to cut away to Chip. We cut back from Chip to the chase. We cut to Sully Smurf arriving at the wrecked airship looking for the fam. All the Fire Smurfs have gone after the kids because killing them is much more valuable than all the goods on that blimp. We cut to Smurfette, who is found by her loyal bird. We cut back to the chase and the kids escaping their pursuers. I think it's because the movie quite often tries to run an A plot, a B plot, and a C plot concurrently. It has to stretch these out over 3.5 hours, but there's rarely enough content in any one of these three to justify the runtime. The individual cutaways aim to accomplish precisely one thing narratively. Look, this character is moving here. Look, that character has arrived there. You're left with the unfortunate impression that whole chunks of the movie have been parceled into TikTok reels for the attention deficient. The effect is that whichever is the most prominent of the A, B, and C plots at any given moment winds up being strangled by the other two.
Spider, you okay, bro?
It's cool, bro, he's fine.
Bro, I've got to get a mask.
Seems like the kind of thing that would have been avoided if you carried a fucking spare, bro.
That's our last known position. That's where Dad's gonna be looking for us. Bro, no, we'll just circle around them.
Bro, you've got no choice, broski, because you don't carry a fucking power bank. I carry a power bank when I visit London, and I don't need it to breathe the air there. We cut back to Sully Smurf, and it's now dark, which in an Avatar movie means bad things are about to happen. He finds the spare mask, but then, oh no.
It's all over, Jake.
The general rule in writing is that bad luck is acceptable, good luck is not. You might look at this scene and think, well, you know, he got captured and he got cuffed, that's bad luck and therefore it's fine. But the good luck is that he's captured and cuffed, not killed. Chip is not under orders to bring him back alive. Chip has previously been very keen on killing him by any means necessary.
I killed you.
I have died before.
We cut back to Smurfette. She mounts her bird to go and look for her family, right? We cut back to Chip and Sully Smurf. Sully Smurf tells Chip about Spider's mask situation. He knows Spider provides him leverage over Chip, you see. Which is funny, because, you know, earlier he wanted to give that up. Sully Smurf offers to track the kids, something I suppose the highly trained Smurf Marines are incapable of doing themselves. This means we've got Sully Smurf and Chip Hazard tracking the Fire Smurfs, who are tracking the kids who are trying to circle back to this very location, because they know, and Sully and Chip know, that the spare mask is here. I'm genuinely not convinced they would think leaving here is the best thing to do, but they've all read the script, so they know what has to happen next. Over with the kids. Spider's mask is down to 3% charge. He's losing air. We cut away to Smurfette, just in case we were about to be concerned for him. She's now up in the air, strapping her wood. Well, it's fine. I'm sure she's looking for her family from the sky. And that comms necklace that they all wear, that's just, I guess that's just broken. Back to the kids, and Spider's mask hits 0. If only there was something he could have done about that.
You can prevent adult onset diabetes by getting an annual checkup, exercising, praying.
Okay. Save this guy, person, I beg you.
You know what time to pray?
No, trust her, bro. She knows what she's doing.
What are you doing?
I'm not sure. This feels right.
Oh, well, anyway, she sees a flying jellyfish and this gives her an idea. She uncovers some tree roots and demands that Sunbro put Spider on them. Then she jams her dick in them. Then she grabs the jellyfish and tears a bit off and shoves it in Spider's mouth. This all works because the planet is made of Hippy. So the green roots grow up Spider, then they go in through his orifices. He starts to breathe until Ripley Smurf's orgasm overpowers her and Sunbro disconnects her from the tree. Then the roots die and Spider seems to die as well. I have to ask, the Smurfs live here. The Smurfs claim they are uniquely conversant with nature, yet they seem profoundly ignorant of the ways their own planet works. There'll be a couple of beats later where human scientists take a look at this result and within 30 seconds come up with a working theory of what happened. Yet we're supposed to believe that these ignorant savages lucking their way through existence is the proper and best use for this planet.
Because the Na'vi they're in balance with their environment. They have this kind of very, this harmony with nature, spiritual belief system based on what they call the Great Balance, and the Great Balance is mediated by their deity Ewa.
Thank you, aging hippie liberal douche.
I'm breathing the air. I don't need this bullshit anymore.
Well, gee, this changes everything. If you forget about the 6 already known ways humans can inhabit Pandora, charging mask batteries with solar, Smurf avatars, uploading consciousness to Smurf bodies, aggressively terraforming the planet by introducing photosynthesizing plants, lying next to a tree and hoping Ewa likes you. Now there's a way to just breathe the Pandoran air. It's a miracle. The Smurfs absolutely will not share this information with the humans though, because they would rather we all suffocate and die. We get just long enough to enjoy this moment of great relief before the Fire Smurfs arrive and capture them. Flaming Hot Smurf is momentarily interested in Spider and his suspicious lack of death.
It is the will of Ewa.
Checkmate, atheists. It's worth noting this line though, because in a few minutes' time, Ripley Smurf will forget she spoke it.
If I cut now, do you think Ewa will come to save me?
Well, it seems like an easily testable hypothesis to me, and given how very quick you've been to murder everybody else, I can only assume Spider is a main character, and that is the reason he's still alive.
Your goddess has no dominion here.
Believe it or not, James Cameron has not actually fleshed out the Fire Smurfs' religious beliefs, so this line is not actually what they believe. It's just there because it sounds like a cliche, and cliches are cool. Flaming Hot Smurf then gets bored of Spider and turns her attention to the really important thing, guns. She demands that Sunbro show her how his rifle works.
It's empty, no thunder.
She threatens to kill smallest Smurf, but she's already shown us her threats are totally empty. Villains who make lots of threats and never go through with them are extremely lame. You want to show us that she's genuinely a Smurf to be feared, not that she's totally safe to be around because she doesn't commit to her villainy, though she does get about as close to killing children as the heroes in this story. While all this is going on, Sully and the Smurf Marines, which could be a band name if Avatar had a cultural footprint, sneak up on the perimeter. They are armed, they are in stealth, they've got a particularly advantageous position, but they are also in an Avatar movie, and this makes them extremely dumb. So Chip Hazard decides now is the time to free Sully Smurf and to give him a knife. Sully Smurf then solid snakes around the perimeter, taking out the guards. Then he decides stealth games are extremely gay, and he jumps right into the middle of the Fire Smurfs and starts punching people. Chip Hazard spots this distraction, and his plan is to walk into the middle of the crowd, grab Flaming Hot Smurf S, and shoot into the air until everybody shuts up. But there is one fatal flaw in his plan. Like Gary in his first week in prison, he has not protected his privates. So Flaming Hot Smurf S reverses him with a surprise rape attack. It is worth remembering that though the Smurfs do have tiny vegan dicks beneath their loincloths, the tentacle was explicitly sex-coded in the first movie.
Don't play with that, you'll go blind.
They touch their dangly bits together to increase pleasure. As the wiki explains, the linking of cues is an essential part of mating due to intensifying feelings of arousal. Hence all the memes about them fucking the wildlife into subservience. You get the sense old Jimmy C rather regrets making the sexy time dongle and the animal husbandry USB the same device, and he just kind of hopes that everybody's forgotten, but we haven't, have we, precious?
Don't ever do that again.
While Chip's getting violated, Sully Smurf gets a smack on the back of the neck, and the remaining Smurf Marine is chased off. He will come back later, but he's so totally irrelevant I might just forget to mention it then, for no particular reason except that it is the time. Chip decides he is strong enough to resist his abuser, and we should all celebrate his bravery. This appeals to Flaming Hot Smurfette. It appeals to her a lot.
Show me how to make thunder.
Just go like this.
Feels good, don't it?
Why, yes it does. There's nothing like handling a massive weapon. It's the gay man inside of every American.
Not all Muslim people are terrorists.
No, but most of them are. And all it takes is most of them.
I do not need you now, Skyman.
Obviously, this is just another empty threat. She very much likes Chip Hazard. Their bits have touched and there is no going back from that. But it does throw up one interesting thing. Skyman is their term for human. Flaming Hot Smurf S does not know about the whole consciousness transference thing, and we're left to assume she's learned his backstory maybe through tentacle transference? Yet she never acts as though there is anything at all strange about this. It doesn't impact her worldview, it doesn't impact her view of him, her view of her own planet and its nature. It goes entirely without comment. For someone who's seemingly never encountered a human before, never mind a human consciousness inside a Smurf body, you would think this would be a more seismic revelation than it is. Well, at least you would think that if you didn't know you were watching an Avatar movie. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, Smurfette has abandoned her family, didn't so much as glance around for them. The woman who would happily die for her family has decided to leave them all behind. She's flown all the way to the camp of Smurfs and the friendly scientists, the one that the military has done nothing whatsoever to hunt down or eliminate, because, why would they?
Easy, man. My children.
The children!
Oh, now she remembers them. One of the Science Smurfs asks where they are, and the correct answer is she has no idea because she didn't bother looking. But obviously she'll be able to lead the rescue mission, wounded though she is. This last bit happens after the next bit, but unlike the movie, I'm trying to accomplish more than one thing per scene. We cut back to the Fire Smurfs. They really do like their fire. Look at them there, dancing around, huffing magical smoke drugs like it's UC Berkeley in the 1960s. They sure do like their fire. We know they love their fire because they dance around it, chanting fire.
We are now entering the Hall of Stereotypes. These wax figures represent how some intolerant people have labeled minorities. Here we see a black person eating chicken and watermelon, a stereotype that hurts the African American community. What other stereotypes do you see here?
Because the movie thinks we're all as as they are. They do all of this while their captives, who we know they do not need because they told us they do not need them, remain unmurdered and tied up. Pandora must be a wonderful place to live if you're a main character. And because the Fire Smurfs are totally ignorant of their own species' abilities, they leave them tied up near some tree roots. It's basically video game mechanics from those Avatar video games that nobody plays. Ripley Smurf props the tree roots to control the flower turrets, she uses them to shoot the guards, and they are free. Fun fact, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora wasn't quite on the level of Star Wars Outlaws when it comes to recent Ubisoft calamities, but it was still a massive flop. $200 million budget. They needed to sell about 7 million full-price copies. Steam slapped a 50% discount on it within a couple of months of release, and it still only sold about 2 million copies. They have tried to make Avatar culturally relevant, they really have. I probably wouldn't have picked Ubisoft to do it, but yeah, hey, what do I know? I get paid by Take-Two.
It was the girl.
If you automatically assume it was her, then it kind of implies you knew she might be capable of this, so you should have killed her. Off we go on another chase sequence. This time the heroes make it to a lake and lose their pursuers.
We search by air.
What a novel approach. If only the humans had thought of that. The fam climb out of the lake and they have a nice lie down. Chip Hazard suggests they get some rest while he takes watch, which Sully Smurf is obviously not going to allow because Chip Hazard is a villain, even if he's acting all nice and decent here. He's going to continue being quite nice and decent for the rest of the movie, while Sully Smurf, well, we'll get to that.
You and the missus must have done something right, I'll give you that. He's a good kid. He's a great kid. This don't mean we're gonna start taking long walks together. I'm still bringing you in.
It's a small thing, but it is a change. Bringing you in has never been Chip's motive with respect to Sully Smurf. He usually just wants to kill him. This is, in fact, what he was brought back to do in the second movie.
Our mission is to hunt down and kill the leader of the Na'vi insurgency.
I'm coming for you, and when I do, I'll kill your whole family.
Obviously that doesn't work for what this movie has in mind, but rather than fit Chip in with a new motive inspired by the events of the last movie, Jimmy C has once again assumed we all just forgot.
All this time out here and you still don't get it. This world goes much deeper than you imagine. You witnessed it tonight with her, with him.
This doesn't quite answer the point, but it does highlight how shallow and superficial the characterization has been so far. We're coming up on 7 hours of movie at this point, and Chip has never really reflected on the world or his newly ensmurfed condition. He's raped birds, he's done all the usual Smurf shit, but we don't know what he thinks about these things or even really about himself. He retains much of his old warrior's code, and we know he's quite loyal to his family, both of which make him much more interesting than Joel Sully. But that's a bit like being the tallest dwarf, the most honest politician, or the least shit-stained hobo.
It don't matter what color I am. I still remember what team I'm playing for.
You see, he is more interesting than Jay Sully. You'd never have guessed Chip Hazard would be the Martin Luther King of Pandora.
You got new eyes, Colonel. All you gotta do is open them.
They're not new, for fuck's sake. He's had them for ages. This exchange might have worked in the second movie. It's a bit late now. Come dawn, we find that the Sully fam and Chip have been sleeping out in the goddamn Smurf fucking open this whole time. They know their enemies can fly. Chip is a battle-hardened commander. Why are you sleeping in the open? Kristen Cole knew about tree cover and he was just a medieval cuck. It is only by pure luck that the avian sex slaves now flying toward them belong to friendlies who had no idea they were here, rather than the villains who at least had a rough idea that they were here. Hey ho though, a happy reunion. But what's this? While everyone was having their big hug, Chip Hazard has disappeared. Good job he doesn't have any communications devices on him though, right? Because, otherwise he could have just called for backup and captured the entire clan and the scientists in one fell swoop.
What's up? Dude! Oh, yeah, I'm good on the whole air thing.
I'm good on the whole air thing. This is the first comment anyone has made on his miraculous condition since he contracted it. The Jungle Smurfs return to base. While Chip Hazard reunites with a Smurf Marine that escaped off screen, oh hey, I did remember him. They managed to fuck 2 more birds and they made it all the way back to headquarters.
Iron Sky Blue on actual. We're inbound at the city wall.
Gee, if only you'd used that radio thing earlier. Anyway, it's time for a returning character. Oh boy, says you, who can it be? There are so many memorable Avatar characters. Is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one? Oh wait, sorry, no, you're an actually memorable character. This one?
So you think he's still with Sully?
It's Corporate Douche. Corporate Douche is back. You might have thought he'd have been demoted after the calamity that befell him in the first movie, and you would be supported in that belief by his total absence from the second movie. But nope, he's back. Turns out he's recently been very interested in whale brain goo, but now there's a much more profitable opportunity before him: naked boys. He's actually in the Epstein files, is this guy. Look, there he is.
This is not my priority. My priority is getting this city built and sending back Amrita to pay for it.
Has this woman ever said yes to anything? The Earth is dying. Humans need to come to Pandora because for some reason it's the only planet anywhere in the universe they have decided they can settle. They cannot breathe the air. But here is proof that there is a way to solve that problem.
Who do you think sets your priorities? It's the big picture guys. So here's a big picture concept for you. How are we supposed to colonize this world if we can't breathe the frickin' air?
Sure, well done, but it's hardly a big picture thought, is it? Or have humans spent so much time watching Twitch streamers that rudimentary logic now counts as great insight? Chip tells them they'll still need to track down Spider to secure this salvation. Meaning he tracked down Spider, he found Spider, then he left Spider so he could go back here and tell his boss that they need to find Spider. He's my favorite character as Chip Hazard, but he's not terribly bright. Also, sorry to call you up on your economics, old Jimbo, but if the whole Earth is dying, then why does General Woman need to fund this settlement by selling it brain goo? You don't think every corporation, charity, NGO, and government on Earth would be pouring money into this settlement as the last best hope of mankind? Back on real Earth, we subsidize windmills. We subsidize all those solar panels you like so much, James. Pity about all those African slave children, but sacrifices must be made. Over with Team Nice, the scientists are studying Spider. Unlike the Smurfs, who are extremely in touch with nature, and so they don't know anything about it, the humans are enterprising. They can learn more about the planet in 30 seconds than the Smurfs have in 30 generations, and we're still supposed to think that living like Smurfs is the moral thing to do. Those uncontacted Amazon tribes who think $30 Amazon drones are devil spirits? This is the future Jimmy C wants for your children, the fucking clown.
This is all mycelium. It's basically the same thing as the forest network. Somehow it colonized him, spread through his entire system, and then made changes at the cellular level.
Can you get it out?
Get it out. It's keeping him alive. Why in the Martha White self-raising Christ would you want to get it out, Jake? The scientists say no, it's altered his blood chemistry, his lungs, his everything. Whatever it is, they are keeping each other alive.
You and the Naboo form a symbiont circle. What happens to one of you will affect the other. You must understand this.
The Smurfs are the Gungans in this scenario, James. I hope you realize this.
Maybe this is a good thing.
Good thing. What if the RDA labs could reverse engineer this? What if every human being on Earth could live here without a mask?
Then you've saved the entire human race from extinction, John. At some point, we are really going to have to grapple with the moral complexities this idea has introduced. You are of the human race, Jack. Your family was human. You came from Earth. Your ancestors were human. Your kids have human in them. Here is a way humans can live on Proxima that doesn't require them raping the planet to get at it. You don't hate humans, do you, Jim?
Jake. There's something else.
Oh look, Little Spider has a USB Type D as well now. Speaking of, Ripley Smurf is dick melding with the trees again.
I prayed to you in the forest to save my friend, but you didn't come.
Dudette, may I remind you what you said the last time you spoke?
Do you still live? Because it is the will of Awa.
Amnesia is positively endemic on Pandora. Everybody survived. Spider survived. Even Flaming Hot Smurfette didn't kill anyone. A fact so inexplicable it can only be put down to divine influence. In what world are you, of all people, in this scenario of all scenarios, having a crisis of faith?
You didn't answer, so I had to do it myself. I don't know how. I asked the roots to help me.
Your entire culture worships a tree! Ripley Smurf tries to push her way into Awa's personal space and is quite rightly rebuffed. I have no idea why they decided to have Sigourney Weaver voice a child, but to decide it they most certainly did. The next day sees Ripley Smurf chat with the fam and the friendly scientists. She tells them she doesn't know how she did any of her magic, and even though actual children learn to join dots when they're about 3, she does not conclude that Awa must have been acting through her, even though yesterday she concluded exactly that. The fam tries to calm her, but she accuses them of hiding something. She says she's known it her whole life.
I have felt it my whole life. Just tell me the truth.
And now it's the time to unravel it. The riddle, wrapped in a mystery, inside an enigma, inside a sausage, inside a Smurf. Who or what is Ripley Smurf, and why is she in the movie?
I'm a clone.
Yeah. So the explanation goes as follows. In the first movie, Grace, Ripley Prime, was not pregnant, which is lucky because she was ancient and she smoked, and this increases your chance of giving birth to Frogan. When in her Smurf suit she was dying and was laid in front of the tree, Awa decided to impregnate her corpse.
There was a
parthenogenic birth.
There was no father. I can't explain what happened.
Why not? We're stealing from everything else. So, like our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Ripley Smurf is a virgin.
Granddaughter, it was the will of Awa.
I think you mean the Force. Needless to say, there is nothing in the original Avatar that even hints at this. The end was supposed to entail that Grace had been recognized by Awa for her services to Pandora and had earned the right to have her consciousness uploaded to the cloud. Now, though, James Cameron has decided a bit of virgin birth symbolism will add a lot of thematic depth to his story. But the thing with Jesus is that he is a main character. The Bible is his story, and the magic reveals are mechanically quite simple. Being the Son of God and also God himself might provide several millennia's worth of work for theologians to unpack, but the general audience understands at a glance that it is a story of sacrifice and redemption. Fans of the law can then look back at the Old Testament and say, so this is what it was leading to. There might be the odd plot hole here and there, but nothing that takes you out of the story. Ripley Smurf, by contrast, is not a main character. She barely even has lines. She was the Deus Ex Machina conduit at the end of the last movie, a role she will reprise in this one, but the story isn't hers. It isn't anchored to her. It doesn't revolve around her. We don't understand Awa. We don't understand what she's done to deserve Awa's grace or indeed to exemplify it. She is the clone daughter of the Smurf body of a human woman who got plugged into a tree nearly 2 decades ago. What does it mean?
This is such bullshit.
It's the first of 3 obvious biblical ripoffs in this movie, the second one being the binding of Isaac, which we will come to shortly. But these are from the Zack Snyder school of themes, where chucking disconnected religious imagery in at random intervals is considered deep and meaningful.
When the Dreamwalker body lay here, a seed was planted.
Can you get it out?
Yeah, see, we're not asking that question because the writers haven't spotted the connection. The whole threat of humanity thing is pegged to Spider's plotline. Here we're doing the Miracles of Pandora plotline. So even though the exact same mechanical concern should be present, this is another way to survive on Pandora. We don't exactly know how it works. The humans could figure it out and replicate it. The Sully fam is fine in this instance. Ripley Smurf can get all filled up with tree cum and that's religious, but when Spider gets all filled up with tree cum, that is really, really bad.
That really sucks. That makes me even more of a freak.
You believe in the hippie god, how are you not overjoyed by this? You are the fucking Smurf messiah, you dumb bitch. I'd understand giving the freak outcast angle to Spider, because he literally is a freak to you people, and frankly I'm surprised he's not suffered more of your racism, but it's pretty damn hard to convince me a true believer would be upset about the revealed truth of her beliefs.
Granddaughter, you are Awa's child.
Find out what this means in Avatar 5, The Search for Spock, releasing in 2031 probably. Sully Smurf tells her he doesn't care how it happened, she is still his baby girl, and he's the only father she will ever need. He got cucked by the hippie god, but he's down with it because found family is the most important thing. I think this makes him the Joseph of the biblical arc.
Just stop!
Except when he isn't. Ripley Smurf asks why, if she's so special, Awa refuses to help her. Except when she channels her to save people from certain death and allows her unparalleled control over all of creation, but hey ho, details.
Look, we don't know why, but you're locked out from her.
It's some kind of firewall.
It's like an encryption. The harder you try to break in, the harder it fights back.
Once again, the humans learn more about the nature of Pandora in 30 seconds than the Smurfs have learned in their entire existence. Ripley Smurf insists she must find out what the hippie god's plan for her is, but the scientists warn her against it.
If you try to connect again, you could die. You do it underwater and you will die.
Almost sounds like you should be leaving her with the humans and the jungle Smurfs rather than Spider, but thanks for telegraphing that we are indeed going back to the Sea Smurfs for the finale. Speaking of Spider, meanwhile, Sully Smurf has decided he can't stay here.
If he is so dangerous, we should just kill him.
Fucking psycho. You're married to a dude who already proves one way the humans could colonize the planet. You're not arguing that he should die. I'd wager the humans could do a bit of reverse engineering on Sully Smurf and Ripley Smurf and make a dangerous amount of progress there. Hell, they can already make a chip hazard. The movie might not act as though either model of Smurf sonar realization is mechanically significant, but they are. Spider only provides an additional means of human survival on Pandora.
It's Spider. He'll come with us. He'll come to the reef. We can protect him there.
And now I'm forced to wonder why, except that the movie wants to reuse a bunch of scenes and effects, we're going back there at all. The humans should have a rough idea where the Sea Smurf base is. The Sea Smurfs won't let you use human weapons. The Sea Smurfs do not have human armor. The Sea Smurfs do not have human medicine. Here with the Jungle Smurfs and the Smurf scientists, you have human weapons, you have human armor, you have human medicine. It just saved Smurfette. Plus, you have the battle-hardened jungle Smurf army, your own people, in case you forgot, Jake. The ones you spend all of the first movie and a part of the second movie training up. I'm pretty sure here is better. Here is also better because it would mean we haven't just spent an hour of movie getting here, only for here to be completely pointless except as a tool for exposition. We must leave the Sea Smurf so Spider can be safe. Spider accidentally gets himself penetrated by a tree. We must return to the Sea Smurf so Spider can be safe.
It is decided.
Oh, she's so salty that she doesn't get to kill a child. Then we cut back to SeaWorld with the humans on their big evil ships hunting the whales again. The same basic stuff is in play. Evil Antipodean whaler captain, nice scientist who loves the whales, makes pained faces because he doesn't like having to extract the brain goo. Obligatory James Horner musical sting to let us know we're watching something evil. And this time, there's a baby whale to make us extra sad. Then, with what looks suspiciously like a reused visual, the Sully fam lands back with the Sea Smurfs. Turns out they didn't need the air traders after all, and they got them all killed hitching a ride when they could have just driven themselves. The Lord of the Tides tells them a new, bigger, worse demon ship has arrived in their water. Even worse than that, Outcast Whale is preaching the heresy of self-defense to the younger whales, so a council has been called to decide what to do about him. You might have thought this had all been settled in the last movie, and that the Sea Smurfs would be firmly on his side now, but you would be wrong. Listen, it's not easy writing a 3.5-hour story. What's a little repetition between friends? Meanwhile, Pregnancy Bitch and Smurfette are having an argument. Smurfette's shoulder is still paining her, and she tells Pregnancy Bitch that her healing herbs are shit. Pregnancy Bitch correctly points out that Smurfette should be resting and healing rather than shooting her bow in 5-second cutaways that ruin the movie's pacing.
Here for Sahik, where I may forget that you are with child.
She really wants to kill a kid. This one hasn't even been born yet. God, Neytiri, she's such a feminist icon. That night, everybody gathers for the Whale Moot. Big Mama Whale says the law is the law. The law says no killing. Outcast Whale was cast out for killing. Now he has killed again. He attacked a demon ship, which brought death to their people, even to Sully Smurf's son. She says Outcast Whale continues to disrupt, spreading bad ideas among our young. Sunbro and Spider say that this is utter whale shit, which it quite obviously is, but they are overruled. The council decrees that Outcast Whale must be sent far away from these waters, to somewhere his song can no longer be heard. He must be exiled for life.
Boring!
James, this wasn't interesting enough for one movie. Using it twice is just absurd. Go fucking Elm and let somebody else write your story. Outcast Whale getting extra outcast upsets Sunbro, who points out correctly that Outcast Whale is his bro, and his bro fought for everyone. He saved their lives. He saved Pregnancy Bitch's own daughter. Look, the daughter agrees with him.
He fought for us, more than you, more than any of you.
Something you have to get used to, and I say this as an Englishman, is that the more you do for the world, the more its ignorant, savage peoples hate you. Just leave them to their indigenous ways of knowing and stop expecting gratitude. Anyway, it's time for the dialogue to stop even pretending to make sense.
We're at war. If you disobey orders, people get killed. With Spider here, we're trying to keep a low profile.
You want him gone? That's why you didn't say anything.
He's a loose cannon. He's just like you.
First, they were staying here to fight for SeaWorld when the humans inevitably return. Sully Smurf was frustrated that he wasn't allowed to use good, real human weapons, which he collected against orders. Then you all fucked off on a side quest. Now you've come back to hide from the humans, who apparently will not inevitably return, and you want Outcast Whale to do New Game Plus so you can avoid starting the war you were collecting weapons to fight. This conversation was prompted by Sunbro defending Outcast Whale who helped you fight off the humans, during which fight you used human weapons. And you're in this position because you, in the first movie, disobeyed orders and betrayed your entire race. What the fuck are you on about, Jake?
If you hadn't gone to him in the first place, if you hadn't disobeyed orders, and your brother would still be...
I see you, son.
Gee, the production values on these hallucinations are really good considering they can't possibly have happened. Sunbro bursts into tears like a little Smurf pussy and he runs off. Later, Smurfette warns Sully Smurf that he is in danger of losing another son and he shouldn't blame Sunbro, making him the only child in this entire movie that she doesn't want to kill. Then she accuses Sully Smurf of failing to protect his family.
I was wrong. What do you want me to say? That every decision that I made for this family is wrong? I killed our son?
It is a fair question. Damn near every decision you've made has been wrong, but let's not pretend Chip Hazard wasn't a factor, and that Smurfette didn't willingly go along with all your terrible decisions.
And still we are here in this place, hiding this pink skin, this alien.
Oh boy, here comes the racism.
If I had to choose between my family and a pink skin, I would kill him right now.
That's funny because you had a chance to do that in the last movie and you didn't. You've had many chances to do it between the movies and you didn't. You had chances to do it in this movie and you didn't. And you specifically shouldn't be trying the whole racism thing because you married a goddamn human.
But I want you to know, I think you are the lowest of the low. I think you are the worst of the worst. I think that there are fucking rapists and Nazis out there who, even though they are rapists and fucking Nazis, they are more redeemable than you because at least they're doing something they fucking believe in.
Also, interesting to note they refer to all humans as pink skin. I guess all black people just died off screen.
You already chose between your family and the pink skin once, remember?
Imagine asking an Avatar character if they remember the last movie. Even Jake's fuzzy on what happened. The choice they made was to have Spider as part of the family. That was the message. Found family, loyalty, the ties that bind.
A son for a son.
Those words came out of your mouth, you dozy twat. But we know you've forgotten because you tried to ship him off with the air traders at the first opportunity like he's a faulty Amazon package.
I hate them, Jake.
And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too.
I hate the insanity in their minds.
I'd tell her to look in a mirror, but these savages haven't invented those yet.
You hate me? I'll always be an alien to you, won't I? Doesn't matter how long I live in this skin. You hate your children with their alien hands.
No.
Are you ashamed? Every time they make a mistake, every time they're different. That's because of the human inside them, right?
It's just so very typical that the first time in two movies they really try and give her a character, that character is racism. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't even work as an extension of her grief over dead Sunbro's death. Like most underage Disney characters, he's got splashes of human in him as well. I get that it's supposed to be irrational, but the irrationality is irrational. Its expression is nonsensical. It is unmoored from past events. I could buy her being consumed by bloodlust, by the desire for revenge. It'd still be awkward set against the happy seance the last movie ended with, but it would be less incongruous than this. Her wanting to use Spider as a mere tool against Chip Hazard would make more sense than this. It could still be cold, callous, unfeeling, in cruel disregard of Spider's own worth and his humanity. That would make more sense than this. It'd be a bit of a replay of the last movie, but we've already swallowed a whole bottle of that pill. All I'm asking for is anything except sudden, inexplicable, extreme racism. Meanwhile, Sunbro briefly contemplates an early visit to the ancestors.
Jesus.
It's the extreme overreaction portion of the movie, I guess. Like Smurfette, Sunbro's conditions have not changed enough to justify this sort of response happening now as opposed to at some point earlier, and this whole relationship drama directly contradicts the last film's resolution. It's the Stranger Things approach to characters. Instead of arcs and development, Flanderize and amp it up. They're the same, but slightly more. And because it's the same but slightly more, you already know how it's going to end, because it's ended that way already. Sunbro will go off to prove himself, he'll return, he'll be recognized, and the family will live happily ever after. Or, at least until the next movie when we'll pretend like that never happened. Ripley Smurf and girlfriend Bro run up to comfort him. They promise to mend Smurfette's broken bow because symbolism, and that is just about the last interesting thing any of them will do in this entire movie. It wasn't even particularly interesting. The next day finds Smurfette doing more damage to her shoulder by training with a replacement bow, the kids mending her actual bow, and Ripley Smurf teaching Spider how to rape animals. This was a difficult process in the previous movies, even for Smurfs who've already had sex with their livestock. Both Sully Smurf and Chip Hazard had to learn to exercise control over their bonded pets, but it seems that was too interesting as a concept, and so we've dropped it.
You feel her?
Oh, yeah.
I bet you do.
Gross.
The successful copulation prompts another fancy fish tank screensaver as Spider goes for a ride. Way of Water also made a big deal about learning how to breathe underwater. It was something the Sully fam couldn't do right off the bat because it requires training and acclimatization. It was one of the things that made the Jungle Smurfs distinct from the Sea Smurfs, but we've dropped that as well. Maybe the fungus on his lungs can breathe underwater, I don't know, we're not told this. For all we know, he's just fucking aquatic now. The evil humans, for their part, are faithfully adapting the previous movie. Remember how they went around burning Smurf villages trying to hunt down Sully Smurf, but none of the Sea Smurfs would tell them where he was?
No, and I don't care.
Well, we're doing that again, though this time they're hunting for Spider, so that's different. Chip Hazard says they've got just one play left. Satellite imagery? Planetary scans? Going to the place where your ship burned down in the last movie and just expanding your search radius from there? Oh, no, fuck it. Or we could just add another hour to the movie, sure. Chips bought the Fire Smurfs a big bag of guns because he knows they like them so much, and because the colonizers twisting the natives is one of those tropes we haven't quite used yet. Flaming Hot Smurfess goes to rape him again, but he warns her he'll kill her if she tries, and he has his Smurf Marine snipe one of her gimps to stress the point. Having established that he has sniper cover, he then follows her into her tent, where he doesn't have that. It's fine though, because he's a main character, so he knows he's got God mode activated. Then he speaks some lines.
Everybody's lying to me. They say that you can make stone speak the truth.
I have no idea what lie he's talking about, and I don't know who told him that. Either a scene has been cut, or else this is placeholder dialogue that Cameron forgot to write over. Flaming Hot Smurfess tells him she knows he seeks the other Skyman, the one like him. This information could come from their earlier mindfuck, I guess? Or she's just guessing.
Now he's a traitor.
Well, then he must die.
You would think so, yes, but he's had a couple of opportunities to kill him already in this movie, and he hasn't done it, and he's not going to do it later, because capture is now his top priority, for some reason.
Varan can help you find this man. And the other you seek. This air breather.
Then she says, first I must see your soul. And she has him do a Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, that's a reference. Which he does because, as everybody knows, stranger danger doesn't apply when they're offering you drugs for free. Things get trippy, and this is to make things interesting, while Flaming Hot Smurfess tells us her backstory.
This is the only pure thing in this world. The fire came from the mountain when I was little. Burnt our forest. It took everything. My people were were starving. They cried for help. But Ava did not come. So I went to the fire, and I learned its way. I am the fire.
Stan, come on. We're gonna go find a frog.
My hand, my people grow strong. We turn our back on Awa. We do not suck on the breast of weakness.
Dude, this TV show is awesome. It's the greatest show of all time. I could watch this for days.
The breast of weakness, God, what a line. It's wonderful, isn't it, how these Smurf clans just do not interact with each other off screen. The Fire Smurfs didn't ask for help, they weren't offered help. Nobody noticed they were dying. Awa didn't care that they were dying. This living planet where everything is interconnected and nature is all about harmony and balance. Nope, a volcano went off. Nobody cared. Awa abandoned them, for reasons we will not even begin to elaborate on. Now, you will note that her stated reason for drugging him was to get him to bare his soul, and so far she's just been speaking at him. Women, they pretend like they're asking your opinion, but they really just want you to listen to theirs. Never fear though, she will ask him penetrating questions.
You have a strong heart. No fear.
Oh, that wasn't cool.
No, she will ask him penetrating questions.
I will eat your heart, Quarritch.
I said she will ask him penetrating questions.
Why are you here?
You fucking know why he's here. He's already told you that.
I'm here for you.
You wish to serve me?
I don't serve anybody. I need you.
I get it, men do crazy things when they think with their tentacles, but why are we still pretending like he hasn't already told her exactly why he's here and what he needs her for?
Well, I do not need you, and I might keep you as my slave to pleasure me.
That sounds like a fun weekend, but that's not what you really want.
And yes, it is very funny that the actually racist human gets the equivalent of a Smurf's finger up his bum and is now markedly less racist than Smurfette is, but this is supposed to be him bearing his truths to her, not the other way around.
What do I want?
What you've never had, an equal.
And the reason neither of them is bearing their soul's innermost truths in this sequence is because there is absolutely nothing to share. We already know their motivations. They are extremely shallow. We knew it before Chip arrived here. We knew hers as soon as she saw the gun. And that's kind of it. We didn't need this whole fear and loathing sequence. It's only here so the slumbering audience takes the impression that some deeper truth has been shared. In fact, it doesn't change the equation in the slightest. This conversation could have happened while outside and sober, it would have been exactly the same.
You want to spread your fire across the world. I'll give you guns. I'll give you comms, RPGs. But that's strong magic. Command from a distance, strike like lightning. You want to take on anyone? You need me.
I see you.
Damn right you do.
We get a montage of these dumb idiot native savages being given high-powered rifles and explosives. Chip shows Flaming Hot Smurfs how to use a flamethrower, even though they've already got fire weapons that they can summon seemingly on demand, and because she's a clown creature, she is overjoyed. This image has given the Avatar franchise its first meme, and it's been enough for some persons on Twitter to claim that it refutes the charge that Avatar has no cultural relevance. One meme. One in 9.5 hours of movie. 2, if you count the whole animal raping thing. It is very much the exception that proves the rule. The Star Wars prequels generated more than that in just about every single scene.
I don't like sand.
If I use the words, "I love democracy," you already know who said it, where, when, in what context, in what movie, and what his facial expression was, and about 15,000 appropriate uses for that line in the real world. By contrast, if I speak the words, "Our family is a fortress," you'll probably assume it was spoken by Vin Diesel. Yes, the Fast and Furious movies are more relevant than the Avatar movies. Fight me. Over with the peaceful water Smurfs, who are even more clearly good signaled now we have Mount Doom to contrast them with, Ripley Smurf is hanging out with Spider again. They're chatting about the spirit world. She promises she will guide him through the cloud one day. When he asks why he can't just upload to the cloud now, she tells him he can't go alone because it would freak out the ancestors if some random sky person just showed up unannounced, as though this is the first time it's happened. You always know when an Avatar movie is setting up a later scene because the conversation is disconnected from everything around it. A very obvious goal is set, and the characters doing it often act as though they haven't recently said, done, or believed the precise opposite thing. You wouldn't guess from this scene, for example, that Ripley Smurf was supposed to be having a crisis of faith at this moment. Here she's happy and well-adjusted, because the idea of doing multiple things at once, a character scene and a plot scene, for example, that breaks Avatar's lowest common denominator rule. Then some whales turn up, and she tells us it's time for their calf communion, where all the whales get together so their young can have their first experience with fiber optic broadband. It's all fine and it's very pretty, and we've already done this, James. The night of, son bro and girlfriend bro have a chat.
I should not tell you this, but my Tulkun sister says they have been hearing Payakan calling to his birth clan.
Where?
Tulkun's song travels very far through the water loch.
Please.
You see, we're not just doing a bit of the whale thing again, we're doing all of the whale thing again. I can only assume this is a holdover from the time when Way of Water and Fire and Ass were supposed to be one movie. The Way of Ass, I think it was called. They crammed the entire whale story into the second film to make it feel like a narratively complete entity. Then they found that one plank of the generation's tale it was telling, the whole of the teenager's side of the story, had nothing left for the third movie, so they decided, fuck it, whales again, why not? Because this is the model. The adult storyline, the kid storyline, beginning apart and concluding together with a new understanding between them. While the normal human being with a shred of self-respect would think, okay then, well I guess that means I have to write something new for the kids. James Cameron knew better. He hired two very talented people. They're in the end credits. Their names are Control-C and Control-V. So Sunbro pops over to Smurfette's house, gives her mended bow, and she hugs him, because even though she's a racist and she hates the human taint in him, he's given her a gift, and well, you know, bitches, they do love their gifts. Then he says goodbye.
Where are you going?
Just out. There's something I have to do.
And obviously, this means he's going to do something extremely bad and dangerous. And the last time that happened, he got his brother killed. And her sons and her grief and her vengeance and her racism are Smurfette's entire personality. Except, it seems, in this scene, where she just lets him go and she asks no questions whatsoever.
Breaking curfew, Mom! We're out of school!
So he, girlfriend, bro, and a couple of fucking Zoomer Smurfs go off to find the outcast. As you'd expect, learning their kids have disappeared causes the parents to worry because they are parents. As you'd expect, they refuse to send anybody out to look for them because they need all their soldiers here to protect the whales because they're fucking hippies. It's classic environmentalist logic is what it is. No, it doesn't matter if the demons kill my baby. Save the whales.
Save the dream.
You might think Sully Smurf at least would go out looking for them. He's already lost one son. His family motto is...
Sully stick together. That's right, Sully stick together.
And sometimes it's...
This family is our fortress.
And occasionally it's... But when he presents this plan to Smurfette, she says no.
Jake, the strength of the ancestors runs in your son's veins. You must trust that.
Knowing you, this might just be an elaborate plan to get Sunbro killed. We get the quick cut to Sunbro at night in a storm, so we understand that he has indeed gone off looking for Outcast Whale, because, we might not have picked that up from the last 5 conversations. Then we cut back, this time to a burning Smurf village that's been attacked by Chip Hazard and the Fire Smurfs. Flaming Hot Smurfess proves she is not averse to the odd clam, so she rapes one of their women. And via this rapage, she learns where Sully Smurf is. Truly, the humans with all their amazing technology, their brain scans, the elaborate light show torture devices from the last movie, their spaceships, their satellites, their helicopters, they had no other way to get this information. No, they had to go convert a native chick to rape another native chick so she could learn this information. That fucking hell. Then, yes, that last bit was just 15 seconds. No, we didn't need to see it. Yes, we could have inferred it happened from what comes next, but no, we don't write this movie.
You vacuous, toffee-nosed, malodorous pervert!
The young kids are playing games, and Sully Smurf is brooding with his rifle. Then, yes, that was less than 15 seconds. No, we didn't need to see it. Yes, we could have inferred it from what comes next, but no, we didn't write this movie. Spider and Ripley are flirting.
Well, of course, when we began, Jack was 12.
Oh, Jesus! Oh, God! Oh, Jesus! God! Oh, Mary!
And so I still see that Jack.
Lest you assume that a then 16-year-old Jack Champion had to snog a then 70-something Sigourney Weaver, apparently, no, they didn't really film this on Epstein's Island.
I would like to say that when we got to a romantic moment that you might remember, even though I objected, there was an age-appropriate person with him and an age-appropriate person with me.
Oh, thank God. Not a problem you would have encountered if you'd cast somebody in their teens or 20s, rather than a septuagenarian pretending to be one of those. Though it is quite funny to think that James Cameron is dead set against replacing actors with AI, while being perfectly fine replacing other actors with the CG versions of other actors to escape accusations of noncery.
Come on, monkey boy.
Optics, they are wonderful. Happily, they don't go all the way to docking, no full-on tentacle play happening just yet. Spider tells her he wants to learn how to rape a bird.
So you can become a mighty warrior.
Hey, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog.
Firstly, no, don't go pitting your Chihuahua rat against a Doberman. It might yap a lot, but it's not going to win, and in fact it does deserve to die. Secondly, Spider was born on Pandora, and he's lived with Smurfs since he was a small boy. He doesn't know what dogs are, much less how to deploy them in service of a cliche. A fair few fantasy and science fiction properties have this problem these days. I gather Starfleet Academy does something similar. So obsessed are they with seeming relevant to the current day that they ensure they will date after about 5 minutes of release. This is not how people in the far future on an alien planet brought up by aliens would speak. God damn it. You're a filmmaker, James. Use some imagination. Then Ripley Smurf senses that it has been too long since our last chase sequence, so she stops, and they spot a sneaky Fire Smurf, then lots of sneaky Fire Smurfs, so now it's time for another chase sequence. To be clear, Chip and the military only needed the Fire Smurfs, and I use the word needed loosely, to find the Sully fam. Once they located them, they should absolutely have taken over this operation themselves. You don't send a bunch of arsonist savages with no higher loyalty to you, and no understanding of the value of these targets, to capture something as important to the future of humanity as Spider. Spider is the most important thing to humanity. He can save the entire human race. He can make this planet habitable. Fuck unobtainium and whale brain goo. Spider is currently the most valuable asset in the universe where humans are concerned. What happens if a Fire Smurf didn't get the memo and lobbed a fireball at him? What if they used one of their new rifles and shot him in his face? What if in the chase they accidentally killed him or took actions that led to his death? The US paid the Mujahideen to fight skirmishes against the Soviets in Afghanistan. They did not put the Taliban in charge of their new nuclear program. Spider and Ripley Smurf split up, but Spider just happens to run down the one path in the jungle where Chip Hazard is waiting for him, so he gets captured.
I don't believe in coincidence.
Oh, fuck off. No, why are you here? Then, Spider's father restrains him, and then his father's new girlfriend rapes him. James. What are we doing here, James? He's 16, James. I mean, seriously though, James, this is not Europe, James. This is not Pakistan. You can't be shoving your dangly bits in children, James. Although, mind you, I guess it is Hollywood. The extra funny, because extra stupid thing about it, is that she only does a thing I can't properly name on YouTube to knock him out. There were other ways to do that, James. You didn't have to rape him till he was unconscious. And lest you be wondering how the Fire Smurfs got all this way and infiltrated so close to the Sea Smurf village when we've already been told that they've kept all their warriors back for extra vigilance to protect the whales, don't. For the purposes of this sequence, their entire guard and patrol consists of Jake Sully and his rifle, and he was looking in the opposite direction. Being about as secure as virginity in a South London secondary school, the Sea Smurfs then get jump-scared by a huge military force. Sully pretty much spots them by accident. If they'd come from any other direction, or if they'd just kept their fucking lights switched off, they could have wiped out the rebels in one swift stroke. By the way, considering what's at stake here, this is still a very small force. The whole future of humanity hangs in the balance, and they've sent fewer men than they would have if the prize was unobtainium. Having been taken completely by surprise by the people they knew were coming for them, the Sea Smurfs all run out in a tight smurfly clump and wait on the beach for their opponents. One single missile could do a lot to pacify the native population. They're acting as if they know the humans won't open fire on them, even though they know, because Ripley Smurf ran back and told them, that the humans already have the one thing that could stop them killing everyone: Spider. Chip Hazard and Flaming Hot Smurf S land, backed up by the Fire Smurfs. It's a standoff. Much like the last movie, Chip demands that Sully come out and surrender himself because, for some reason, it's worth risking the Holy Grail to capture a guy you've been trying to kill for years at this point. Sully Smurf tells Smurfette to take the girls and hide. All their people will die unless he acts, and by acts he means throwing down his rifle and walking out alone. Smurfette rejects this proposal, though she'll play no role whatsoever in anything that follows. She probably just didn't like the idea of protecting children.
Whatever happens, do not raise that bow. You swear to me.
She's going to raise her bow no matter what happens, and absolutely nothing about the scene will change. Out on the beach, the first Sea Smurf of Bravos tells his people that Sully Smurf is one of us, one of us, one of us. Chip Hazard orders his fucking helicopter, to burn a nearby building, because obviously helicopters, they carry short-range weaponry that doesn't work if you're moving forward, for fuck's sake. And then Sully Smurf runs out onto the beach.
Hold your fire! Stop!
He means that literally. At this point, Chip has accomplished his primary objective, and Sully has just ensured that he can accomplish his secondary and tertiary objectives in one big explosion. But that's not going to happen, because it would be too satisfying. Instead, Sully Smurf offers to surrender himself if Chip promises to let his people go. Chip is reluctant to accept this proposal, and his Fire Smurfs are extremely keen on murdering everyone and claiming scalps. Like white people, they have no culture. So, Sully Smurf orders his Sea Smurfs to raise their weapons.
When I drop my arm, you and your new girlfriend die. You in particular die alive.
Why are we still here? What are we negotiating over? Just fucking kill them all.
Maybe we bum rush you, and your gunships hesitate, because we all look the same.
Ah, using their racism against them. Clever girl. It won't work though, because you're quite clearly standing in opposing groups and they'd mow you all down before you could close the distance, but it's a nice idea in theory. Chip says he can't work out if Sully Smurf is smart or just plain nuts. The answer is neither. He's just plain stupid, but he's going to survive because being just plain stupid makes you the most intelligent being on Pandora.
I need your word, Marine to Marine. Do we have a deal?
Flashback.
Now he's a traitor.
Well, then he must die.
End of flashback.
I thought the whole point was Sully Smurf had renounced his human ways and severed his loyalty to the Marines when he rebelled against them in the first movie and got them all killed. That's certainly been Chip Hazard's POV for the last 2 movies. But because this film needs him not to kill Sully on sight this time, Chip Hazard just agrees.
Wanna take you swear?
So Sully Smurf gets cuffed and bundled onto the helicopter, and the humans and the Fire Smurfs leave. This removes what minor leverage the Sea Smurfs had left, and there's now nothing stopping the humans torching them on exit. But they don't. They leave everyone alive, including Smurfette, even though Chip Hazard in particular knows what she's capable of and should fully expect her to follow them and fuck shit up later.
What do we got? Man, we have a big incursion. Weapons locked out. They all have IFF badges.
Just so we're clear about what's happened here, the humans have put IFF transponders on all their guns. They let Chip Hazard take a bunch of those guns and give them to some unruly savages. Then they did not update their systems to reflect this fact, and so they've just been surprised that hundreds of could-be hostiles have flown right past their air defenses. Do you have any idea how insane this policy is? You're on a hostile planet. You're at war with the Smurfs. Those Smurfs routinely kill your people. People with guns. People with guns that have IFF transponders on them. Any Smurf who ever killed a human, any Smurf who found a gun in any set of circumstances could have flown into your base at any time since you built it. Sully Smurf could have left his Smurf Taliban to bomb your city. Your fortress is less secure than fucking Ubisoft, you morons! Also, when did this city get so big, and when did it get so many civilians? This movie set mere months after the last one. I'm pretty sure none of these people were here back then. They had to travel between star systems. For them to be here now, they'd have to at least have been traveling from way before the first movie, back when the only human presence on this planet was military and unobtainium miners. Look at them there, taking selfies on their handheld devices in the 22nd century as the Fire Smurfs land all around them. Who are they? What do they do? When did they get here? Why are they here in the first place?
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hit you with an... I don't know.
The Marines haul Spider and Sully Smurf out of the choppers. Corporate Douche is very pleased to see a small naked boy, but General Woman is much less impressed because saying no is her one thing.
It's not enough for you to hand out guns. You've got to bring hostiles inside.
Wait, did you not okay this? He took your guns. He's got your fucking choppers. I kind of assumed you had consented to this plan.
Let me make this very clear, Colonel Cochise.
Ooh.
I want every one of these savages escorted off my base ASAP, including your little missy over here.
Chip Hazard, though, he tells her not to be a dick, and then he works the crowd.
We got him, people!
So, is his true nature common knowledge? Everyone just seems to accept that Chip is a human made permanently and perfectly into Smurf. Wouldn't at least some of them be clamoring for the same treatment? It's like furry maxing. It'd let you live anywhere on Pandora. If the human race being chained to their masks is seen as such a terrible thing for our species, you can't really tell me that no one would jump at the chance to get themselves a Smurf suit. And then they'd probably fuck it, because you know what people are like. While Chip Hazard and Flaming Hot Smurfette get the red carpet treatment and Spider gets hauled off to a lab for various experiments, we jump back to Sunbro, now joined by the rest of the teen Smurfs, and he remembers that he's meant to be the narrator in this movie.
The people say, the sea washes you clean. They also say, if you see the deep ones, the Sion, their spirits sent to judge you.
I really don't know why they bothered having a narrator when he has so little to say. But hey ho, I guess we meet a new monster and we repeat a beat from the second movie again. Remember how Sunbro was learning how to swim and then he got attacked by a sea monster and he had to hide in some coral and then he ran out of air and he had to be rescued by his friend?
Oh my god, who the hell
cares?
Yeah, it's that again. Except instead of a shark-coded fish monster, this time he gets attacked by squid. Terrific stuff, so unique, definitely worth a whole scene, and now we're done with that, so we go back to Spider.
Do I have to?
Where we find lots more reused stuff. Yeah, this setup here, this all sure does look mighty familiar. Chip Hazard goes to chat to Spider in his holding... Oh no, wait, sorry, that's from the wrong movie. We're doing Fire and Ass now. So, Chip Hazard goes to chat to Spider in his holding pen. Spider asks where Sully Smurf is, and Chip tells him it doesn't matter. Sully Smurf isn't part of his life anymore. I, Chip Hazard, am your father.
My father's dead. Just some made-up thing they gave us memories to.
What is this? An examination? An interrogation? An inquiry into the true nature of Chip Hazard? Is he the Smurf of Theseus?
I'm still me. I checked. Hey, look, Colonel Miles Quarritch.
No, I don't think that's a satisfying answer. Maybe Spider will follow it up with some incisive, never mind.
You know, we didn't get a chance to talk too much when we were out in the bush together, but...
You did, though. You had loads of time. You just chose not to. Spider says he wishes he hadn't pulled him out of that shipwreck in the last movie, but Chip says, either way, I owe you.
Man, I'm proud of you. You got guts, smarts, and... Son, you got the heart of a lion. I see myself in you.
You've both been raped by your girlfriend, so you've got that in common as well. It is funny to think, though, that already, i.e. before the horrific nonsense that is Jake Sully later in this movie, Spider and Chip Hazard, being the two human characters, are far and away the nicest, noblest, and most honorable characters in the movie. Both these guys have a code of honor. They try to do the right thing, and they actually give a shit about people in pain. Chip Hazard, the villain, is a better father than Jake Sully, and that's sad because, that's Jake Sully's whole thing. We also find out that Spider's mum was a Marine who died in the big battle in the first movie, meaning the most important thing in Chip's life had already been born by the time of that movie, and he just never got around to mentioning him. It also means that Sully Smurf got Spider's mother killed, but this isn't going to come up again, and while we know that's because this movie just doesn't care, diegetically it means Spider is so nice that he doesn't hold this against the Sully fam. What a lovely, lovely kid. Chip Hazard goes to leave but says, I'm here for you if you need me, and he lets Spider keep his dog tags. Listen, I said Spider's a lovely kid. I didn't say he's clever. Now that we've repeated yet another sequence from the last movie, it's time to hop back to the teenagers so we can repeat yet another sequence from the last movie. They found the outcast whale, but something is wrong. Hyper-intelligent, sentient whale creatures, and they all speak like 11 from Stranger Things. Sunbro asks if he found his birth part, and he says he did, but they are all dead. He's the only survivor. This beat was so familiar, I actually had to double check I wasn't hallucinating. We already did this. He was outcast in the first place because the humans killed his mother in the last movie. Everybody knows this is what happened. It was bullshit in the last movie. I remembered calling it out in the last movie. There were sea Smurfs there while it was happening. I remember this being the thing that really, really, really made me sympathize with the Japanese. The whale's no fighting doctrine was so extreme that they cast him out for fighting back against the humans who killed his own parents. Nobody this pacifist deserves to fucking live. But then the question becomes, if we did this in the last movie and all the characters learned about it in the last movie, then why are we doing it again in this movie as though we and they didn't already know what had happened? It's presented here as though it is new information. An outcast whale's got a bunch of battle scars and harpoons stuck in him as though it has only just happened. But it hasn't only just happened, James. The only possible defense for this as new new content is the substitution of birthing pod for the last movie's mother. But A, that's less of a hook for this film, and B, the last movie sort of implied a bunch of other whales in the pod died as well. I think the only reason Fire and Ass hasn't copped more shit for this is that nobody actually pays attention to these movies. But it's like if Order 66 happened in Attack of the Clones, and then Order 66 happened again in Revenge of the Sith, as though it hadn't already occurred. It's kind of extraordinary that the Avatar films can get away with shit like this, but it definitely supports my contention that the audience sleeps through them. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, the whaling ship Bossman is showing whale migration patterns to corporate douche. He explains that whale congregations peak at the eclipse, which is due to happen the day after tomorrow, even though hitherto these eclipses they've been basically daily events, but never mind. The plan is to hit the whales once they're all gathered together and harvest all the whale brain goo in one go. It's this sort of neat final solution to the whale question that makes you wonder why, if they know this is how it works, they haven't tried it already. Then you start thinking, but hey, if you kill all the whales, you're basically going to run out of brain goo. So why aren't you capturing and farming the whales for their goo? We farm animals on Earth for their goo. And then you stop thinking about any of this because the writers, they never started.
You're talking about wholesale slaughter. Hundreds killed, entire pods just wiped out. That'd fill a year's quota in just one day.
This, of course, is precisely the point. Scientists might mean well, but you really do need the private sector if you want to get anything done. Nice Science Man continues to object, and he pretty much cribs one of his Way of Water scenes.
These are intelligent, soulful beings. Who are you?
Even the characters don't know their names.
We all made our deals. No, I did not sign up for this!
I didn't sign up for this shit!
You literally did sign up for this. You are employed to do it. It's why you're on this planet. You've been doing it for ages.
You're an imbecile.
But this time, no. This time it's the final straw. A man whose name nobody knows. A man most of the cast has never before interacted with. No, he's gonna go and have his hero moment. He's going to help save the day. Meanwhile, Sully Smurf is being kept in a big glass prison in the middle of the crowds, as you do with your high-value prisoners. You leave them in extremely vulnerable positions. There's no toilet, but I assume that's because the Smurfs are just too pure and perfect as shit.
End of the line, Jake. 06 tomorrow.
The plan is to publicly execute Sully Smurf by firing squad in the morning, which Chip Hazard says makes for better optics. Meaning that General Woman has spent 2 movies saying no to capture or kill missions that are now, somehow, everybody's top priority. It's just so great how these movies seamlessly slot together.
This isn't about them. It's about me and you.
That's not true though, is it? It was about the 2 of you. It's why you were trying to kill him until Jimmy C decided to contrive a dumbfuck escape sequence.
About a Marine that betrayed my trust. About the men and women I lost.
Again, that was the case, but if that were still the case, then we wouldn't be here now. You've just surrendered him to other people to enact justice for other reasons. You have voluntarily depersonalized it, Chip. Now the movie's trying to have it both ways. You'd have had to have Sully Smurf captured by other people for this conversation to even half work. You could even have Chip Hazard effect his escape out of a perverse sense of honor and revenge. Have it that Chip couldn't let Sully be killed in this manner, have him help him escape in order that he can hunt him down personally to get the personal revenge that has been his motive for the last 2 movies. As it is though, he's telling us, this is about me and you, and he's just going to bugger off and smurf his girlfriend while Sully Smurf gets taken out by people who don't even have fucking names. It's just not quite as good as what I'm saying, James.
Dead man's memories. Miles Quarritch is gone.
This is the second time we've broached the Ship of Theseus question, and this one's going to go about as far as the last one did.
You're free, and there is a world out there. There's things that those suits will never understand. And Navi call it Kame to see.
Whale Moot.
Sully Smurf fondles his tentacle as he encourages Chip to open his eyes to see the world anew, as though Chip hasn't spent ages as a Smurf at this point.
I'll see you at 06.
Great, what a wonderfully useful conversation. We got less out of that than we did from Chip chatting to Spider, and Spider is canonically For about 10 seconds, we cut back to Waterworld and see Smurfette with her mended bow retrieving the explosive arrow Sully Smurf made for her earlier. Cause, if we hadn't seen that, then we wouldn't understand it when she shows up later with those arrows to cause explosions. Or at least, we might have had to engage our brains for a nanosecond in order to make that connection. Thank you for sparing us the trouble. Then we cut back. Spider, the most valuable asset on the planet, unscrews a vent in his cell and nobody notices. This is the sort of lapse in security that has allowed the Clintons to get away with their crimes for so long. What the fuck are we doing?
No fucking idea.
Smurfette takes out some Fire Smurf guards on the outskirts of the city, and then she grabs one of their IFF transponders. I don't know how she knows they have these. I don't know how she knows what they do, and I don't know why this is going to work, given the military should now know that it is a massive exploit in their security systems. Smurfette flies into the city, and they wave her through because they're fucking incompetent and they haven't patched their security systems. She even holds up the little transponder to the camera as she enters because the movie has that little faith in its audience. Now though, Smurfette has a problem. Here she is in a foreign city looking for one specific person. She has no means of knowing where he is. The fact he's on full display in a public square surrounded by adverts with his name and face on it leaves her with nothing to go on. So instead, she's going to hunt down Flaming Hot Smurf S, who's in one of many small unmarked tents with no lighting or signage, and this is everything she needs to know exactly where to go. It's not clear what Smurfette's plan would have been had she entered the tent to find Chip Hazard and Flaming Hot Smurfette gargling each other's Smurf bits, but as luck would have it, they recently smurfed all over the place and Chip's gone out to drink with some of his new friends. This allows Smurfette to sneak into the tent and pull a knife on Flaming Hot Smurf S. She asks her where Sully Smurf is, as though he's the one she couldn't find, and after threatening to cut off Flaming Hot Smurf S's dangly Smurf labia, she learns that Sully Smurf is indeed in that huge well-lit public square surrounded by adverts with his name and face on them. This should be all the information she needs to just kill Flaming Hot Smurf S, but she lingers long enough for Chip Hazard to walk in for round 2, and then another chase ensues. Smurfette activates plot armor, and this allows her to reach her bird, fuck it into submission, and take off. She then starts shooting explosive arrows at buildings she somehow knows contain explosive gases. We really only did that little side quest so she could get spotted and be chased. That's it. There was literally no other reason she could have just come straight here. Up in the command center, Corporate Douche has learned of Spider's escape, probably from those dropped dog tags, and he demands that the military get him back alive because he is the most valuable thing in the universe to all of humanity. So naturally, General Woman says no. Smurfette is now being chased by helicopters and Chip Hazard and Flaming Hot Smurfette and Fire Smurfs who are using unguided RPGs, exactly the sort of weaponry you want to use when you're flying birdback through a densely populated city after a single small, highly mobile target. Smurfette makes it through the small vent that for reasons of pacing nobody else can fit through, and so she's safe for now. While all of this has been going on, Spider has donned a disguise and sneaked his way underneath Sully Smurf's prison, while Nice Science Man has broken into some sort of large vehicle. He drives it through a big advert and it is revealed to be a killdozer. You should probably try getting on it. You should probably be shooting literally anywhere else. Nice Science Man uses the plow to break through the glass walls of the prison, then to protect Sully Smurf from gunfire as he runs out, making this the first known example in Avatar of a character being saved by actual armor rather than just plot armor. Spider also takes this opportunity to follow the killdozer, and he manages to avoid being squashed or exploded as it knocks down a massive beam backing into a garage, blocking the entrance behind it.
You and girlfriend from Green Bio.
All those times you were told to keep your cast small, to keep things personal, to ensure everyone has relationships, and that relationships inform motives to maximize the meaning in your payoffs, all of it a lie. Just look how peak this is. Jake Sully being saved by that guy. The two of them go sneaking through the building, and Science Man explains he's done all of this to save the whales.
You've got to stop them. You're the only one who can.
They make it outside, but they are immediately spotted by a helicopter which shoots at them and misses.
He moved. Shut up!
Sully Smurf's plot armor has an area of effect apparently, and Nice Science Man is inside of it. He orders Nice Science Man to get himself to safety, and this is the last time we see him in this film. General Woman gives the order to fire missiles, but then Spider runs out and stands in front of Sully Smurf, saving him. Spider, it seems, has realized how massively important he is to the future of the human race, and he's using his own plot armor to protect his adoptive father. What a lovely, lovely kid. They run off together, and the humans decide they can't shoot Sully because they might hit Spider, even though Sully Smurf is about twice the size of Spider, and they have an extremely clear shot at him. Mind you, given they're about as accurate as Candace Owens, it's probably best they don't take the risk. Then General Woman decides, to hell with the future of my species actually, take the shot. But just before they do, Smurfette, who somehow managed to track all of this while flying beneath the city, she takes out the chopper with another exploding arrow. For reasons best not explored, it's still the only chopper on the scene. Good job she kept one in reserve, otherwise she'd have had to use a normal arrow, and we know how ineffective those are. You might want to take a beat at this moment to wonder just what the fuck General Woman was thinking of, sacrificing the entire future of the human race to get one escaping child, but the movie doesn't seem to consider this to be a problem. We instead get a happy reunion, and as always happens in lazy movies, everybody chasing them goes on pause long enough for a quick and pointless exchange.
I don't know whether to kiss you or yell at you.
You waste time!
They all jump on the bird, and now you'll be thinking, well, hold on, there's no way they can get out. Everybody's after them. The whole military, the Fire Smurfs. I don't think they have an IFF transponder anymore, and anyway, it should have been deactivated if they did, given what's just gone on. So they should get wiped out by the city's air defenses the minute they cross the border. Happily though, the editor jumps into the rescue, so we just cut to a long time and distance away and hope that the audience doesn't ask how we got there. We find them flying serenely over the jungle. Their off-screen escape was so dramatic that Spider fucking slept through it, Jesus Christ. They land at a wide-open stream that looks a lot like the set they visited with Chip Hazard earlier in the movie. While Spider goes for a drink and a piss, Sully quietly tells Smurfette that he was wrong. They can't protect Spider because Chip's girlfriend can find them wherever they go, and I'm still not sure how. Earlier she said she could track Sully Smurf as well somehow, but I guess we're forgetting that, so the next catastrophically awful scene can work.
They will get him. They will study him. And when humans can breathe our air, then they will spread across this world, and they will destroy the forests, the oceans, everything just like on Earth. Then the Na'vi people will be gone. The Tokun will be gone. And I can't let that happen. You were right.
Do you see what I mean yet? This movie hates you. It hates us. It hates humans. This isn't a condemnation of the military or the evil capitalists as it was in the first movie. This condemns humans as a whole. We destroyed our planet, you see, and will inevitably do the same to Pandora given the chance. That our Earth in reality remains very much undestroyed, that the doomed coral reefs still exist, that we're in the middle of a global greening event and we're presently tearing the Earth up to build solar panels and electric cars for wankers like James Cameron is a complication the movie doesn't want to consider, because it is a cheap, misanthropically Gnostic morality play. People who spend a lot of time railing against the supposed sweep of lefty politics in media sure do go silent whenever the subject moves off ladyboys and the big gay. No, let's let all the humans suffocate and die. Keep worshipping your goddess, who all the evidence suggests is a fungal parasite that tricks the Smurfs into giving it their corpses so it can gorge on their necrotic flesh. That is true enlightenment. The Na'vi weren't always blue, it just spread from their balls because they're all a bunch of cucks.
It has to be done.
What has to be done, Jake?
Jake. He saved your life.
Whatever you're considering must be bad because even the racist doesn't like it.
This is the only way.
Jesus fucking Christ, Jake, no! It continues to be insane that both the nominal heroes in this scene have contemplated killing children, while the nominal villain is the only fucking normal person in this entire production. Jake Sully will fight harder to save whales than his own adoptive son.
A son. For a son.
Way of Water, perhaps I treated you unfairly. So while Smurfette has a minor crisis down by the river and frantically tries to wash the stain of race hatred off her skin, Sully Smurf leads Spider into a clearing.
Where are we going?
Be quiet.
He makes him kneel. Spider finally clocks what's happening, but like many a noble indigenous man with his knife at the throat of a small naked child, Sully Smurf starts praying. And because Spider is just a lovely kid, he forgives him for what he's about to do.
It's okay. Do you still love me?
And to be clear, that is the only possible reading if you discount the accurate diagnosis. The accurate diagnosis is that Spider is nothing and all characters say and do whatever any given scene requires of them, regardless of any established character traits, beliefs, personalities, or loyalties. Because what's happening here isn't a character beat, it's just another theft of antiquities. The binding of Isaac, where God commands Abraham to take his son up to the mountain to be sacrificed, and Abraham goes to do it, only for God to say, "Lol, no bro, chill, I just wanted to see if you would. It's cool, kill this ram instead." That's what he sounds like. It's quite an important moment in Abraham's arc and in his faith in God. Here though, it isn't Awa that stays Sully Smurf's hand, it's just himself. And the moment resolves in Sully Smurf doing what Sully Smurf does whenever he's not contemplating filicide. We'll stay and fight, our family is our fortress, Sully stick together, etc. You know, all those things he always falls back on regardless of context. All those things that should have been operative all through this movie, but which were suspended for no real reason to enable this scene to happen. I will say, it's the first time I've been surprised by an Avatar movie. Surprised Sully took it this far, and surprised that Spider will have absolutely no opinion on it going forward. Or, okay, no. Actually, that last bit, that ain't surprising. He's an Avatar character. He doesn't have opinions, he has lines. So we cut to Sully Smurf climbing up some floating rocks.
My dad knew in his heart there was only ever one path. No matter how you imagine yourself, as a father, as a husband, sooner or later, you're back on it. Turuk loved my father. He knew they were greater together. That when they flew, there would be blood.
Never mind that he didn't know in his heart that there was only ever one path, because that was the point of the entire preceding scene. Sully Smurf is here to claim Big Bird. Remember Big Bird? Riding Big Bird is the cue for the movie's final act, which inevitably means uniting clans and preparing for battle and such. Sully sends his jungle Smurfs, and also the sea Smurfs who've come here for some reason, off to collect the others.
And so it came to pass that Turuk Makto returned. My father united the clans once again. He made the great speeches, but he knew that it wasn't enough.
Indeed, it was not enough, because uniting the Smurfen kingdoms is insufficient. Their grand strategy cannot possibly proceed without the fucking whales, I guess. One might point out that the whales would work best as a distraction. Given they know the humans are going to send a sizable force out to grab them, they must also know that this will leave the big city undermanned and with its already compromised defenses even weaker. You wouldn't even need to convince the whales to fight. We know what what the whales think about fighting. You would just have to convince them to lead the humans peacefully away while you go round behind them and take their entire city hostage. But if we did that, we'd have to create a bunch of new CGI assets and set pieces, and that would require money, which we have, but it would also require imagination, which we don't, so that's out. Let's all demean ourselves by begging the pacifist, lily-livered fucking pansies that they are to contribute something to their own survival.
She says, we respect Torok, but our ways are ancient. Killing will only bring more killing in an endless, expanding spiral.
I'd love to know how these extremely intelligent creatures square the fact that the humans were hunting and killing them before the outcast fought back. They communicate with each other, they can do it over immense distances, they can't not know what's been happening to their fellow sea cows. Then, Sunbro, the teenagers, and the outcast arrive back in the movie proper, and over their parents' objections, they demand the right to speak.
I see you, son.
Yes, but now you have to hear him for the first time since the last time that you heard him. Now, given how deep-rooted and ancient is the whale's commitment to pacifism, you'd expect it would take something truly exceptional to change their minds now. They must already know that their pods are being killed. They should already know that this has been happening regardless of whether anyone fights back. So if the appeal is just that they're coming to kill the whales, then there's no reason for the whales to change their minds.
My brother returned to his birth clan to defend them, but his clan was wiped out by the demon ships. Only Tatnok survived because she fought back.
We know all of this. No, we already know all of this. This was in the last movie. We learned it in the last movie. God fucking damn it, we know. Then Outcast Whale shows them his battle scars, which should have no impact at all because they already know they're being killed and they already know how he got those. He says if we don't fight back now, all the whales will die. You're part of this world. You must fight, please. And the Whale Moot descends into the sea with the parting words, "We will decide." Which obviously means they'll decide to fight, sacrificing their one established race trait based on information they've had since before the last movie even started. This entire thing should have been resolved during the last movie, and certainly before this movie started. It's such lazy hack writing that it doesn't even require lengthy explainers as to why. Cameron wanted more whales because the fans, they liked the whales, so he just reset their storyline and ran it from the beginning. Back with the evil humans, whom I have never wanted to win more, they're busy planning their entirely justified massacre of the whales. Apparently, the old ones are especially valuable, because like the dragons in Westeros, the whales never stop growing, meaning the old ones contain lots of goo. And it's at this point that I absolutely despise what passes for this movie's environmentalist message, because like many environmentalists, it has absolutely no understanding of the environment. If these whales never stop growing, and if, as it appears, they have no natural predators, then the old ones would deplete the overall food source and wind up killing a lot of young whales by double effect, to say nothing of their effect on their broader ecosystem. It's called eruptive growth. It leads to ecological overshoot, and it results invariably in population crash. The Avatar movies like to tell us that living beings are naturally harmonious and produce an ecological balance, but that reflects a complete refusal to engage with its subject matter. Humans killing these giant whales might well be the best thing that could happen to the overall whale population, never mind to the overall ecosystem of Pandora. Even if it's not, I want them to, because pacifists deserve to die. Chip Hazard is now so pussy-whipped that he's donned red face, and he walks in at this moment and asks why they started the meeting without him.
After your fiasco with Sully, you're done, Colonel. You're confined to base pending an investigation.
After his fiasco with Sully, remind me who's in charge of security here, milady? Corporate douche attempts to interject, and she continues finding new ways to say no.
What are you gonna do? Call Daddy? You mean the chairman? It's enough.
I'm not convinced Corporate Douche would still be in charge here after his fiasco with the unobtainium in movie 1, but the movie insists that he is, and as General Woman herself told us earlier, her priority is making money for the company to finance the colonization project. So once again, she's saying no to the core villain objective because it's the only thing she's allowed to do.
You're a disgrace to your uniform. Assuming you remember what a uniform is. You're grounded, Colonel. Permanently.
Fuck you.
It feels like there should have been a whole bunch of scenes actually earning Chip this punishment, but it doesn't matter because by grounded permanently, she obviously means you're totally free to go about your business unimpeded, because Chip needs to appear in the big final battle. Which is lucky because, if she actually did try to ground him, the movie would have to account for the huge private army he has inside their city, and that would require writing, and as someone once said, writing is hard. Back with the Sea Smurfs, and Pregnancy Bitch sets up Ripley Smurf's inevitable Jesus moment, so we're not surprised when it happens again.
Why are you here, girl? To pray, Tyke. Why did you come to us? Perhaps it was for this moment. Only a chosen one may call upon the warrior mother.
Then she goes into contractions, and I know what you're thinking. This makes her the ideal frontline soldier in the wars to come. The rest of the Smurfs are tooling up.
I'm running with you.
No, I need you here. You keep your post no matter what happens. You read me?
Let me try this out.
But wait, James, I thought guns are evil because guns hurt the kids. Remember how you were so very moved by that school shooting? Didn't really make its way into your writing in the end, did it, James? You're basically arguing that we should arm the teachers now. The human fleet is approaching. For reasons of endgame, they've decided to meet at the boss level with all the floating platforms because floating platforms is epic and cool, especially when they're floating around a giant magic portal. This makes Avatar 3 a Gollum-like. Bossman Whaler leads his whaling team out, and oh boy did these shots look extremely familiar. Sully Smurf repeats the Klingon the rock face before attacking from above maneuver we saw in the first movie, which you'd think wouldn't work because the humans were there at that time, and they saw it work back then, and they should have learned from it, but it is vitally important for this battle that the human antagonists learn absolutely nothing from their past defeats. Or even from their past victories. After all, they could have sent a second group to pillage the Smurf villages, destroying morale and distracting focus, taking the women and the children hostage, rather than sending their entire force right into a very obvious trap. While Sully Smurf prepares to attack from above, the Sea Smurfs prepare to attack from the surface. There's Pregnancy Bitch still having contractions, getting ready to charge on the front line. The Avatar movies don't seem to understand that sending your pregnant women out to battle is a sign of savagery that civilized and enlightened peoples avoid. Hell, even Sully wants his own living kids to stay behind in safety, even the ones of fighting age. But I suppose it's very modern to think that children only gain moral worth once they're out of the womb. Bossman Whaler is surprised to find that there seem to be no bulls or big females among the congregating whales, so he slows to a stop. Then the main ship picks up lots of bulls and big females coming right for them. It's like a feminist convention. They obviously couldn't spot this from such close range, even though they were able to track them from much further afield.
Scoresby, I thought you told me they're not aggressive.
Well, they're not. Generally.
I think this is meant to be comedy, but I'm more concerned with how General Woman, who told us earlier that her only priority is getting whale brain goo back to Earth, now has absolutely no knowledge of the whales whatsoever. The whales burst out of the water and attack, signaling the Sully Smurfs and the Sea Smurfs to attack as well, and the battle is joined. Now, many, if not most, climactic movie battles follow something like a 3-act structure. You get to the opening gambit, where the heroes look heroic and everything seems to be going pretty well. Then you get to the second act reversal, where the villains turn the tables and everything looks extremely bleak. Then you get the heroic resurgence in the third act as the good guys overturn impossible odds and win. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this formula unless the movie really highlights that it is its formula. Good final battles will often try to blur the edges by having the second act trigger at slightly different moments for each hero participating in it. They have their own personal battles within the broader conflict, and this allows for staggered act transitions. It also allows you to hide the general act structure by personal investment in the individual character's stakes. The reason this is important is that if the formula is too obvious, then the audience starts recalling how most climactic battles really work, and so the second act reversal in particular can lose much of its tension. Rather than, oh my god, the hero's in trouble, you think, oh yeah, so this is the second act bit where they're all in trouble. It's the difference between investing in a story and merely observing a set piece. The Avatar movies, though, they tend to have the entire world advertise their act transitions. You get a cutaway shot to the eclipse and everything goes dark, and so you know it's time for the second act. Extremely stupid people will praise this as peak cinematography, but it's a device to please particularly unimaginative children. Avatar 3 is only one step above The Force Awakens in deploying this trope, because it doesn't have a character outright explain the meaning of said trope.
Remember, when the sun is gone, that weapon will be ready to fire, but as long as there's light, we got a chance.
The other component to a good climactic battle is missing as well, the personal conflicts bit. This is because Avatar fundamentally lacks heroes, and it really lacks villains. The first act is triumphant because people you vaguely recognize as good destroy things, objects, entities you vaguely recognize as bad. Then the eclipse happens, and the Fire Smurfs, led by a noticeably ungrounded Chip Hazard and Flaming Hot Smurfette, start mowing the vaguely good Smurfs down with their evil human weapons. But with vanishingly rare and undeveloped exceptions, there isn't really a personal conflict between Smurfette and Flaming Hot Smurfess. They're thrown together because they fought each other generally before, but there aren't really grudges or rivalries or overlapping stories for them or indeed anybody else. This exacerbates yet another problem with the battle, which I'd loosely call geographic. Because there aren't personal conflicts playing out within the climax, it's much harder to localize any specific event. The movie's preference is for the panoramic, the big picture cutaway, so you get a sense of scale, but you have no idea what's happening in relation to anything else, so the audience has no strategic awareness, meaning that what happens in one location has no meaningful impact on what happens anywhere else. The equivalent is the Battle of Helm's Deep, but removing the cutaways to Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, Haldir, and all the kids and women in the cave. This makes for an emotionally flat experience where you're expected and allowed to feel precisely one thing per act. Unlike the battles at Helm's Deep or Minas Tirith, you don't know who's where, and it doesn't really matter who's where because it makes no difference. The entire battle just devolves into an occasionally pretty but generally hectic mess in a way that even Way of Water managed to improve upon. But hey, you know, a person does die. I have no idea who it is, but it's Azuma, so he probably deserved it. The only narratively relevant part of the entire thing is Ripley Smurf getting fed up of watching the Sea Smurfs die, thanks to their obstinate refusal to use guns, so she goes off to get Awa to bail them out again. This is why the movie kept reminding us that she can't use her powers underwater. She of the virgin birth is going to sacrifice herself for somebody's sins. The biblical thing kind of falls apart when you try and read any meaning into it, because the Smurfs are incapable of sin, and she's asking God to murder humans for theirs, so there's no forgiveness involved. But oh golly gosh, it sure is symbolic. Zack Snyder would be proud. Down she goes, and Spider follows her because he's lovely, while Sunbro and the teenagers go off to join the fight, leaving the smallest Smurf all alone. Ripley Smurf fucks the underwater tree and enters hippie vision, where she once again struggles to walk toward the All-Mother. Awa is extremely annoyed by her intrusion and keeps trying to push Ripley Smurf away, because Awa is hungry and the more dead Smurfs there are, the more she gets to feed. Oh, and yeah, James Cameron kind of run out of dialogue for these segments.
Please don't! No, please!
Ripley Smurf makes little progress, but then Spider appears beside her and connects his new dick to the tree and joins her on the grid.
Come on!
But they too struggle until Smallest Smurf connects her dick to the tree and joins them. And apparently all it takes to overcome a crisis of faith and an utterly meaningless rejection by God is just to physically push hard enough until you break through Awa's mind hymen. That means you can penetrate her moist interior, where it turns out, she's just a giant head. Outside, the battle continues to not go swimmingly until all the main cast get variously twatted off their birds and end up swimming. Smurfette's bird gets torched and she falls, but she lands in the water, so she's fine. Sully Smurf's bird faceplants a rock, but he lands in the water, so he's fine. Sunbro's whale gets knocked out.
What the hell was that?
But he's already in the water, so he's fine. Pregnancy bitch gets shot in the shoulder, but we've seen that happen before in this movie, so I'm sure she's fine. And all this somehow happens within pretty much the same location, meaning Sunbro can find Sully Smurf and Smurfette can find Pregnancy bitch, and they can help their respective partners to the land. Spider, meanwhile, swims back to the surface with Smallest Smurf, but he somehow forgets about Ripley Smurf, so he has to go back down to find her, meaning inevitably that Smallest Smurf gets kidnapped by a bird. We're expected to believe that some random in the middle of this chaotic battle spotted a random tiny child and concluded that she must be very important to Sully Smurf. We are expected to believe this. Needless to say, I don't.
I am dying, but...
No, you're not though, are you? Because Smurfette survived that earlier. I mean, she did have some demonic help. And by demonic, I mean basic medical assistance that any non-savage race would possess.
First I will push out this baby.
And so she does. Out pops the Smurfling. She gives it a name. Its name is not important. She tells Smurfette to protect it, which is a terrible mistake because Smurfette kills children. And then, Pregnancy bitch, she dies. Well, that's, something. Sure, it's not much. Like Bro in the last movie, who dies at around this point, she's barely a character, and unlike Bro, she hasn't died as a result of any other hero's actions. So there's no real emotional drama beyond the broadest brush, isn't it sad that this woman is dead? We'll get to the end of this film without ever learning what her husband makes of it all. Sunbro, meanwhile, helps Sully Smurf ashore and apologizes for leaving his post.
It's okay, son. Oh. You've proven yourself to me.
Remember how Sully Smurf told Sunbro to stay behind and protect the children? Good, cause Sully Smurf sure doesn't. One of them's just been kidnapped and he doesn't even ask. Bossman Whaler, meanwhile, is somehow still alive and he rallies what remains of his men to go and milk the surviving whales.
Seriously? There's $100 billion waiting in that cove.
How is the largest supply of immortalizing whale brain goo worth less in 23rd century dollars than the price of a barrel of oil in the 21st century? Did we solve inflation? Smurfette and the baby are spotted by Chip and Flaming Hot Smurfette and a bunch of Fire Smurfs with them. They have Smallest Smurf as their hostage, just like the last movie, so they grab them and head back to the big ship. But this is all happening within sight and earshot of Sully Smurf and Sunbro, so now it's up to them to go rescue the fam, much like the last movie. Sully Smurf, by the way, has had an arrow through his thigh that he has to pull out. I mention this because it creates certain expectations about, for example, his strength and mobility later in the movie. Why even bother if you're not gonna— oh, fuck it, never mind. On the ship, while Flaming Hot Smurf-S rapes Smurfette, Chip uses her comms necklace to summon Sully Smurf to him. He demands that he bring Spider, whom he knows is alive somehow? He can't know this, and at no point in the battle did anyone make sure that the most valuable human living stayed living. So Sully Smurf and Sunbro approach the ship from one direction, and Spider and Ripley Smurf approach it from another direction, sort of like the last movie. The whalers, meanwhile, prepare to attack the trapped whale pod, which has given up fighting back and has forgotten how to swim down. Many such cases. They arm their torpedoes and they wait a stupidly long time to make it seem ominous, but all it really does is give Awa time to get off her divinely fat ass and help. She sends the squid things from earlier in the movie. They communicate with Ripley Smurf via sparkly lights on their skin. It's called bioluminescence, and it was extremely gay when Twilight did it.
You're beautiful.
This is the skin of a killer, Bill.
But in this movie, it's just peak science or whatever. They say they're going for the sky people, and she says... And we're left to assume it's only because Spider has been colonized by the mushroom goddess that he's spared from this otherwise total condemnation of all humans on the planet. I think we might have a few things to say about this by the end of this video. Coinciding with this, Big Bird regains consciousness. Awa summons all the forces of nature she's infected across uncounted millennia to join forces and wipe out the vile humans. Somebody on Twitter pointed out that the movie thus supports the reading that Awa is indeed an invasive fungoid creature that enslaves living organisms, denying them all free will, transforming the entire planet into the third world, using them to kill any threats to its dominance, and then absorbing them for its own sustenance once they die.
Nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
The other implication here is that the entire preceding battle was effectively pointless. Awa could have preempted it, could have ended it at any point, and the only relevant part of this movie was Ripley Smurf nagging her into taking action. So yeah, she's not a very good communist parasite. They normally kill everyone proactively. It does pose a few questions about what the fuck Awa was doing across the last two movies when she could have prevented a huge amount of pain and suffering, but maybe the communism explains that too. So, Nature takes out all the humans, and Outcast Whale takes out Bossman Whaler, so he's definitely dead this time? Probably. Meanwhile, the wrecks are drifting into the big magic vortex, and it is royally fucking them up.
Abandon ship.
But we still have time to replay the last movie some more. So Chip remains, Sully Smurf enters with Sunbro, Spider and Ripley approach from the other direction. Flaming Hot Smurfess spends this entire part of the movie prancing around, chanting random syllables at nobody in particular.
Past several days, I've been noticing a steep rise in the number of hippies coming to town. At first, I thought maybe it was just a coincidence. But then I noticed this.
You can't kidnap people and lock them in your basement!
They're not people, they're hippies!
Sully Smurf tells Sunbro to take the rifle and provide covering fire because he is morally irredeemable.
Don't shoot anyone you love.
Kind of implies you have a choice, doesn't it, James? Guns don't kill people, Smurfs kill people. Spider grabs a comms necklace from somewhere and radios Chip to tell him he's coming out. He offers a deal. Let my people go and I'll come with you. Chip, of course, is totally fine with this deal because he's a decent human being trapped in an evil Smurf body, but the deal doesn't go through because the severely injured Sully Smurf leaps into action while Sunbro takes out everyone except the villains who have names. For fuck's sake, she was right there. What the fuck are you doing? Oh, you know what? Smurfette was right about you. You suck. This distraction allows Smurfette to grab Smallest Smurf and try and get her off the ship, but Flaming Hot Smurfess gives chase, while Sully Smurf does generic action man fight scenes. Flaming Hot Smurfess catches up with Smurfette and clubs her on the back with a blunt object, then reveals she was carrying a bladed weapon the entire time, so you're left wondering why the fuck she didn't just lead with that. She goes to grab Smurfette, but before she can gut her and spread her Smurfy innards all over the Smurf, Ripley Smurf leaps over a railing and rapes her.
Leave my mother alone.
Get away from her, you bitch!
What was it like seeing that line in this?
What line?
That line.
I know people, believe me, I was not thinking about a movie I did 40 years ago. Okay. I was definitely thinking about, I have to save my mother from this evil creature who wants to kill her.
Ripley Smurf advances on Flaming Hot Smurfess, but she has been sexually cowed and so she runs away. Somewhere in this, there is a very mean joke about the nature of women, but as regular viewers of this channel will attest, I am far far, far above that sort of thing.
Told you that once you bring women into things, they ruin it just like they did slavery.
Sully Smurf, meanwhile, goes after Chip Hazard, but Chip gets Spider onto a bird and they fly off, which is odd because, just a few seconds ago, Awa had control of those. I'm sure the reasoning might be, but these birds are evil, to which the obvious response is, they were literally raped into submission, James. Seems like you might be doing some implicit victim blaming here. The animals can't help it, they shouldn't be made to suffer just because people like YMS exist.
I can have my own set of standards and practices, I guess, that I follow myself.
Sully grabs his own flying fish, with an emphasis on flying, Jesus fuck, and goes after them. He attacks Chip, and they get pulled toward the magic evil vortex of harmonious natural doom. Spider tries to leap to Sully's flying fish, but then they all fall off. Far below, the big boat gets dragged up into the vortex to provide some cool visuals for later. Everyone jumps on birds to escape, except for General Woman. General Woman was probably offered the chance to escape, but as is her fashion, she said no, and her commitment to the bit cost her life. Rip, you strange, silly person, I can't wait to have nothing to say about you when we wrap this up. We see that Flaming Hot Smurfess has found a bird of her own, but by this point, Jimmy C has learned from his mistakes in the last movie, so he's sure as hell not going to waste potential assets by giving them defined endings in this movie. She flies off, and that's the last we'll see of her, for now, and hopefully forever, but she's probably going to be back in 3 years' time. Up in the boss arena, Spider, Chip, and Sully are on the islands floating around the vortex, and Sully briefly gets knocked out by some debris.
You're gonna kill your own father?
Do not test me!
Acting. Give me that.
I can more or less guarantee that Chip's injury will play no role at all in what follows. I suppose we can read into it that Spider is just too nice and or incompetent to kill Chip, and that he has inexplicably forgiven Sully Smurf for quite seriously planning to kill him, but given we already knew both of those things, I don't care. Sully Smurf tells Spider to get to safety, which he does, though he keeps hold of his crossbow, and this allows Chip Hazard and Sully Smurf to do the obligatory climactic fist fight. I think this final battle might be worse than the one in Way of Water. I had a fair few criticisms about that fight scene, but at least being trapped on a sinking ship is more believable than whatever the fuck this is supposed to be. Way of Water had a bit of grit and realism to it, but this one doesn't. It's just a bunch of jumping and running and weightlessly punching on a discarded Super Smash Bros. Level. It all comes to an extremely silly end as Spider takes another shot at Chip, but gets knocked back and goes sliding off the rock. Chip rescues him, and then Sully rescues Chip. So we get to do the cliche dangling thing that so many terrible movies go in for. Chip, predictably, overcomes his wounded arm so Spider can climb up to safety. And then Sully pulls Chip Hazard up, and that's kind of it. They're all safe now, or, as safe as you can be while you're orbiting a giant vortex of nature's most beautiful doom.
Well, this is awkward.
This is awkward. He said this is awkward. Somebody call the police. The whole concept of dialogue has just been murdered.
Now what? We're all gonna hold hands and sing? You have a choice.
Smurfette and the rest of the fam fly up to join them.
Ain't this a bitch?
And then he throws himself off the island into the big fiery vortex. I don't remember the last time I saw a movie this reluctant to commit. Chip Hazard might return in Avatar 4, The Search for Chip. What are we even supposed to get from that? You have a choice, Chip. Okay then. Your whole thing has been taking down Sully Smurf for, what are we doing? Oh fuck it, we're nearly at the end. We'll come back to try and make some sense of this stupidity in the conclusion. Everybody hugs and the sun puts the pathetic in fallacy by shining brightly to signify our happy ending. Sunbro gives his peroration.
The light always returns.
We all connect with the Great Mother, who holds all her children in her heart.
She does no such thing. She had to be forced to step in and save the good people from the rapers and the pillagers, and she was extremely reluctant to do that. A fleshed-out culture would develop some decidedly mixed feelings after learning that their god is a total But the Smurfs are not and will never be that.
New life keeps the energy flowing. Like the breath of the world.
Hey, remember how Awa holds all her children in her heart, so that's why she let a heavily pregnant woman fight and die in a war she could have stopped at literally any time?
My brother's voice was heard. He was accepted by the clan. In the spirit world, we call upon the strength of the ancestors, all those who have walked the path before us.
Spider and Ripley connect to the Hippy tree and portal back to the jungle in the spirit world, where there is a big tree and lots of dead ancestors trapped in some sort of purgatory. Look at all the wonderful characters. There's that guy, and that guy, and that guy. I think that one's Bro, and Dead Sea Bitch, and actual Ripley. Remember how Smurfs are several feet taller than humans? Well, good for you.
You are alive for the first time.
They all lay hands on Spider, proving that humans are redeemable, but only if a magic Smurf clone of a human woman that the parasite god likes for some reason first nags the parasite god to use its tree roots to spread a fungal infection that allows said god to puppet him like the evil cordyceps demon that it is. What an uplifting message. We zoom far out into space, where we see Pandora. There are no human spaceships for some reason. What happened to them? What happened to the thousands of people in the big city that is now totally undefended? Did Awa use her monsters to kill them all? Did the humans in space just get bored and leave? Did some eldritch horror appear and suck their ships into the void? Have they all just given up like the writers? Will the next movie account for any of this? Who can say? And that is it. Finally. Thank fuck. Avatar 3, ladies and gentlemen, it's Avatar 2, but slightly worse. Now, there was a time when one could wrap up an Avatar video safe in the knowledge that many years would pass before revisiting it. Some 13 years elapsed between Avatars 1 and 2, which meant that even though we were critiquing a movie that was, in many important respects, the same as its predecessor, there was plenty new to say, or at least enough time had passed that critiques of its sameness sounded new enough. Avatar 2 introduced a new element which we might loosely call family dynamics. Spider and Sunbro being, respectively, the kids of the protagonist and the antagonist, allowed Avatar 2 to add a new-ish layer of character drama over what was, in terms of basic plot structure and themes, largely a replay. The new character layer was underutilized, as I'm sure I pointed out in my Avatar 2 video. Spider's sojourn with a newly unsmurfed Chip Hazard was just really an excuse to indulge in an overlong greatest hits montage, as Chip went through many of the same set pieces we'd already seen Sully Smurf navigate in Avatar 1. The story remained about as shallow as your average female streamer, and I'd be surprised if it took more than a month to go from concept to a finished draft. Its cheap yet pernicious themes remained more or less as they were, and became more extremist because of the thoughtless addition of the Earth is dying backdrop. But they didn't require more than 3 seconds thought on James Cameron's part. As I hope I showed at the top of this video, he's had these half-formed Hollywood hippie notions for a very long time, and their immoderation in Avatar 2 was the product of a lack of thought rather than a development of thought. James Cameron did not spend much time crafting the story, he spent precisely no time developing its messaging. The real point of Avatar 2, like the real point of Avatar 1, was technological. That 13-year gap was spent perfecting some undeniably groundbreaking machinery that will influence the craft of cinematography forevermore. Like George Lucas, James Cameron has made significant contributions to the entire realm of film, and even if they aren't quite so earth-shattering or expansive as Lucas is, they are not to be overlooked. Unlike George Lucas, the vehicle for Cameron's advancements, the story of Avatar can be overlooked. The Avatar movies are a hodgepodge of tropes, devices, and scenes smashed together without inspiration as an excuse to display his technological prowess. Avatar is not Star Wars, it will never be Star Wars.
You did something very interesting with Star Wars, if you think about it.
It looks like we have a smug alert.
The good guys are the rebels. They're using asymmetric warfare against a highly organized empire. I think we call those guys terrorists.
Accelerate to attack speed. This is it, boys.
We call them Mujahideen, we call them Al-Qaeda.
When I did it, they were Viet Cong.
On the national map, we can see smug over parts of Denver and developing smug in Los Angeles. However, San Francisco is once again the smuggiest city in the country.
This is the ultimate futility of the Avatar project, of course, because for all their feelies, tech can present beautiful imagery, and as well as they do financially with a punch-drunk audience, the viewer is still more inclined to remember a story than they are a new camera, filming device, or piece of software. You have to be quite nerdy to understand the ins and outs of industrial light and magic, but coming on 50 years later, damn near everyone on Earth can tell you something about Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, and the Death Star, while in Avatar's case, most memory fades away after mere months.
Avatar, your backup is coming. Flaccid, he says he's on his way to save you, Lofty.
I don't need no backup. I've done 5v1 debates before. I have no problem at all.
You'll agree, I think, that one of the most important characters in Avatar: The Way of Water is Jake's youngest son. Can you tell me what his name is?
Jake's youngest son is named
Obama.
Fuck! Help me out, Flaccid. Fuck.
I said Obama, I think.
Tonight, for the first time, I am releasing my official birth video.
I'm sorry, Lofty. You're a lovely guy. You deserve better than to be used in this way, but fuck me, your favorite movies suck hairy horse balls. A significant part of Avatar's appeal lies precisely in this lack of memory. When Avatar 2 came around, the audience remembered a vague feeling of enchantment from long years ago, and they flocked to see the second one when it finally hit the theaters. Not quite as many. Way of Water made about $500 million less overall than its forebear, but more than enough to turn an absurd profit, even over the movie's absurd production budget. But several things have changed since then. The time between release collapsed from 13 years to 3. This was made possible because Avatar has lost its main reason for being, its technological ambition. Avatar 3 isn't completely lacking in this regard, but if Avatar 2 was the leap from patch 0.0 to patch 1.0, Avatar 3 barely scores even as an iterative advancement. It's patch 1.05, a bug fix, a couple of new skins, one or two more NPCs to talk to. James Cameron said Avatar 3 would have to make an obscene amount of money to justify a fourth movie, and so far it has. It's made about $1.5 billion, numbers that Marvel these days could only dream of. But this requires a pretty big qualifier. Comparatively, for an Avatar movie, it's a bit of a dud. And why should we expect anything else? These movies no longer have any reason to be. They aren't pushing VFX forward, they aren't offering vibrant new worlds, they no longer even pretend to have a story. The relatively short time between Way of Water and Fire and Ash means any viewer with a brain operating at even a tenth of its usual capacity will spot that this is just the same movie again. It being the same movie again makes it difficult to do this wrap-up section without repeating everything I said in my Way of Water conclusion. That video might end up being a more substantive critique of Avatar as a whole than this video is, because back then there was more substance to critique. The truth of this statement is borne out in each of the 4 categories we normally conclude by discussing. On the plot level, we've already covered how much Avatar 3 cribs from Avatar 2, but it's probably worth doing an overview because stripping away aesthetic changes really emphasizes the point. Both movies begin in the aftermath of a climactic battle. Jake Sully finds sanctuary with a new people, but now that sanctuary is under threat. The humans will come back for vengeance. The family must be relocated and find sanctuary elsewhere. In both movies, the villains attack this new sanctuary with their heavily armed whaling fleet. Sully bonds with Big Bird and leads his new allies, including a pregnant Smurf in a fight both for their survival and that of the whales, whose valuable brain goo is the evil human's generic quest goal. The goodies have the upper hand, but then the sun sets and things start going very wrong. The villains capture Sully's family and hold them hostage on the main whaling ship, and Sully must go there to face down his nemesis. This involves a first stage fistfight and then a second stage fistfight with explosions. In both movies, the fight ends with an incomplete Sully victory and some equivalent of a Reichenbach Falls moment for Chip, either because he was rescued by or because he rescues Spider. In both movies, the overall battle is won because Ripley Smurf communes with and wins the support of nature itself. Both movies end with a spirit tree seance to stress the continuing harmony between bodies and spirits. In both movies, the broader conflict that requires Jake Sully's full attention distracts him from the family conflict with his younger son, who feels alone and isolated and who requires validation his family cannot yet provide. In both movies, Sunbro detaches himself from his family and makes friends with a group of teenagers and a whale who, like him, is an outcast. In both movies, Sunbro learns that the outcast whale's family was butchered by the humans, and that he was cast out for fighting back. In both movies, this is used to show that the angsty teenager is seeing things more clearly than the adults. With this new knowledge and perspective, he convinces the Sea Smurfs that fighting is the only way to ensure their own survival, which achievement earns Sunbro his father's newfound respect. He is seen now. In both movies, the villain Chip Hazard has a personal score to settle with Jake, but his mission is complicated by the presence of his biological son Spider. In both movies, Spider is captured by Chip, and while the humans experiment on him, they have an estranged father-son conversation that forms a bond. This is to show in both movies that Chip is not entirely evil, and also to provide Spider a shallow choice between his good found family and his much less good true family. In both movies, this goodness in Chip is extremely selective and does not prompt any broader worldview shift, which is why in both movies he goes around burning Smurf villages after the fact. In both movies, Spider escapes and chooses his found family over his blood relation, but their brief bonding is sufficient to ensure that by the close, one of them will save the other. In both movies, Smurfette feels the loss of her people keenly and struggles to get along in her new environment. In both movies, the loss of her older son, who isn't really gone but never the fuck mind, causes her to hate humans generally and Chip in particular, and this hatred is transferred onto Spider because a son for a son. But both movies end with her finding a degree of peace, largely thanks to the Spirit Tree communion, and Spider being accepted into the Smurf family. Both movies have whale brain goo as the generic McMuffin, the evil whaling captain contrasted with the nice science man who cannot tolerate humanity's ruthless exploitation of nature, and I could go on. The overall point is that not only do these movies use much the same structure, but they use the same beats within that structure. It's not just the formula that's the same, it's much, even the majority of the ingredients. James Cameron has said that he added more whale stuff to this movie because fan response to the last movie revealed that whale stuff is popular. But rather than finding new whale stuff, he just gave them the exact same whale stuff. And if he's happy to admit it in that one instance, it's hard to draw any other conclusion than that this also explains all the other copy-paste evidence as well. He has no interest in taking this story in a new direction. Avatar has already done everything he wanted it to do. The only purpose now is to make money, so he listens to what the fans said they paid for in the previous movie, and he repeats it, hoping that they will pay for it again. Say what you want about the Star Wars prequels, but George Lucas was never this soulless and cynical. He had a story to tell. He had ideas beyond just making money, though he did make a lot of that. His criticisms of The Force Awakens can just as easily be applied to Avatar 3. It does nothing new. It has no ambition. It makes no difference. It's not a story, it's an entry on a studio balance sheet and nothing more.
Technology, which is, oh, we'll just take this new technology, it's great. You know, especially when it came down later to digital technology, where you can really do anything. And then people just abused it all over the place, which they did with color, they did with sound. Whenever there's a new tool, everybody goes crazy and they forget the fact that there's actually a story, and that's the point. You're telling a story using tools. You're not using tools to tell a story. You understand that?
I do.
The point was, the other thing that got abused naturally in a capitalist society, especially in American point of view, which is the studios and everything said, well, wow, we can make a lot of money. This is a license to kill. And they did it. They just simply, and of course the only way you can really do that is not take chances. Only do something that's proven. Let's not do anything. We've got to remember, Star Wars came from nowhere. American Graffiti came from nowhere. There was nothing like it. Now, if you do anything that's not a sequel, or not a TV series, or it doesn't look like one, they won't do it. They say, we want something that we know.
So that's the downside of Star Wars.
That's the downside of Star Wars. And it really shows an enormous lack of imagination and fear of creativity on the part of an industry.
Where Avatars 2 and 3 do diverge, it is principally on the character level, but none of these differences improves the film, and no character emerges better for them. Well, except maybe for Spider, who was barely a character to begin with. Jake Sully abandoned one set of Smurfs in Avatar 2, but at least the reasoning there had some logic. The humans were after him more than they were after them, so removing himself and his family to some far-off location could, feasibly, have left everybody better off. It's extremely convenient that this is how it works, but it is how it works, so never mind. He makes a similar decision in Avatar 3, but the movie does not even attempt to account for changed circumstances. In 3, the humans know, or should know, where his refuge is, and they have a more general revenge motive. It's not just him and his family who attract the danger now, it's the Sea Smurfs generally. Sully Smurf knows this, he says this, he leaves anyway, to enact another contradictory decision. Whereas in Avatar 2, a big part of his motive is keeping his family safe and intact, in Avatar 3, he abandons his people to significant peril in order to go and abandon a member of his family, which somehow is not the worst thing he does, because on learning that his adopted member of the family has a magical power that could save the human race from extinction, Sully Smurf comes within inches of sacrificing this adopted member of his family to ensure that the human race dies a horrific death. He never considers contacting his old race, he never considers ways to save his old race. He never so much as offers to teach his old race any lesson that might help them survive, or to use Spider's new condition as proof that humanity itself can be brought into harmony with nature. He does not believe his own race can be redeemed. All of this could have been included, and its inclusion could even have aided Cameron's supremely misanthropic theme if it had been included. But old Jimmy C wasn't interested enough in the story to include it. So you're left with a Jake Sully who was prepared to contemplate filicide in order to enable a genocide, to protect Smurfs he had already abandoned twice. Next up, Smurfette. They made her an uber racist, and she still somehow emerges from this movie with more redeeming qualities than Jake, who, lest we forget, spent a lot of the movie refusing to fight for no particular reason, which refusal is what forced him to contemplate murdering children and wiping out the human race in the first place. Smurfette's heel turn involves a retcon of the piece she found at the close of the previous movie in order that she can spend this movie hating not only humans, but the human infection in her own husband and her own children. She does this despite the fact she can commune with her dead son whenever she wants, which removes a lot of the emotional stakes from death, and we begin the movie seeing how nice and forgiving he is, meaning she's holding a metastasized grudge on behalf of a guy who doesn't even mind that he's not really dead at all. For a large part of the movie, she would have been quite happy to see Spider die, and yet this moral wreck of a Smurf has an attack of conscience before Sully Smurf does, making an actual racist more humane than the nominal hero of the story. Moving on then to Sunbro, he is a carbon copy of himself from the previous movie, going through a carbon copy of the plot from the previous movie. And because that plot is almost completely isolated from the new events of this movie, and its rare intersections are to drive the plot of this movie in exactly the same way as the last, there's nothing really new to say about him that wasn't covered in my Avatar 2 video. Generic angsty teenager whose clear sight provides moral clarity. He might even be slightly improved over his previous iteration. In Avatar 2, he casts himself out of the family for no particular reason, having not been shunned or victimized or blamed for anything he may or may not have done. At least in Avatar 3, he actually has been shunned shunned, victimized, and blamed for something he did do, but generally speaking, it shouldn't take 2 movies to provide a motive for a character thinking and acting the way he's done since he was first introduced. Ripley Smurf learned that she is a magic Smurf clone of a dead Ellen Ripley who has a direct line to God, which she uses to sentence all of humanity, whence she herself stems, to death. Who is she? I have no fucking idea. She has a minor crisis of faith. She thinks naked 16-year-old boys are hot. She probably has a future working for the BBC. She's an allegory for something, but what? Well, who can say? Outcast Whale isn't a character, he's a thematic mirror to Sunbro. The Whaler Captain isn't a character, he's just a goon creature that the movie pretends represents the problems with humanity as a whole. His opposite, Nice Science Man, if anything compounds his error from the last film. He's on this planet to harvest brain goo. He hates harvesting brain goo. He thinks it's evil and unforgivable, but he's been doing it for several years until the movie decides that it's time for him to stop. Even Chip Hazard suffers for his adventures this time around. He was never as villainous as the first 2 movies pretended he was, given he was fighting for his fellow Marines and for all of humanity against an intransigent bunch of backward savages whose obstinate refusal to develop their own planet extended to refusing humans the right to live on it. He becomes more evil in Avatar 3 because he becomes more like the Smurfs themselves, which is an irony the film cannot have intended. The fully human Chip from Avatar 1 would not have fallen in love with a mad Smurf witch, and he would not have let her rape his son. Only a noble, pure, good, and beautifully heroic Smurf could stoop to such depravity. But beyond becoming a bit more Smurfy and so a bit more evil, you leave the movie with the vague sense that it has nothing much to say with Chip Hazard anymore. He was never, in the first movie, a sufficiently complex villain to build a story off of. The second movie half-heartedly retconned in a son so it could hand-wave at some sort of symbolic asymmetry with Sully himself, but Chip's already simple worldview is twice diluted, and his actual meaning to the story is now homeopathically small. Chip had a basic code of honor in the first movie, which persisted to a degree in the second movie, but by the third it's all but evaporated. The first 2 Chip Hazards would not have blandly handed Sully Smurf over to the authorities as though that was vengeance enough. The first 2 Chip Hazards would be much more protective of, perhaps even obsessed with, his son, given his son saved him in the second movie out of the same sense of duty that used to animate Chip himself. But that Chip is gone now, and in its place there is nothing much, really. He couldn't even commit to dying, but there's no point to him being alive. He represents nothing. He stands for nothing. He is, in the final analysis, nothing. The only character who comes out of this better off for the experience is Spider, whose steadfast refusal to have any real development inadvertently makes him an extremely good kid. He's not a massive racist, so he's better than Smurfette. He harbors no ill will against the Smurfs, who hate his very nature, which makes him better than Smurfette. He doesn't like what his dad's done, but he's already saved his life once and still doesn't want to see him die, even though his girlfriend raped him, which makes him better than his father. And he even goes as far as preemptively forgiving Sully Smurf for trying to sacrifice him in a bid to wipe out his entire race, which makes him better than everybody else in the film. And that's kind of it for any character worth even mentioning. I'm not sorry to keep doing this comparison. By this stage of the story, Luke Skywalker has gone from Tatooine to blowing up the Death Star, to learning Darth Vader is his father, to learning that Leia is his sister, to confronting the Emperor, to redeeming his father and defeating the Galactic Empire. Han Solo has gone from the self-interested rogue who'd abandon his new friends for money, to flying back to save Luke, to becoming a key member of the rebellion, to being captured by Boba Fett, to being rescued, to becoming a rebel general leading the attack on the Endor shield generator, to hooking up with Leia and ending the story as a hero. Jabba the Hutt has gone from a ruthless crime lord of Tatooine, giving Han one last chance to bring him the money he owes, to hiring a bounty hunter to capture him from under the noses of the Empire and the rebels, to meeting defeating and nearly killing the future head of the Jedi Order, to going out in an extremely pleasurable way, all things considered. Salacious B. Crumb is more memorable than most of the secondary cast in all 3 Avatar movies put together. At least we can remember his name. The problem with the blank protagonist approach, the problem with leaving your characters empty so the audience can use them as their avatars, is that they exist not to be remembered. The movie would, in a way, be doing something wrong if you came away from it with a powerful attachment to the arc of Jake Sully. Its approach is not to create archetypes, but to put a character creation screen in front of each individual audience member and to invite them to choose their vessels. This works in a video game, where the player has a high degree of agency and, in a good RPG, can add all the characteristics and skills that were missing when they chose their character template. A movie cannot replicate the character-shaping qualities of a game, which places much greater emphasis on both the story and the world that the character is in. You might not be able to take Jake Sully and shape him, give him his favorite shop on the Citadel, if you will.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
But the first Avatar, and to a degree the second Avatar, compensated for this by providing a derivative but basically functional plot, and most importantly a new and captivating world. The first movie gives you Pandora for the first time. The second movie gives you a whole Pandoran biome you've never before seen, a new world within the world. You might not remember anything about your avatar in those films, but you remember what it looked like, how it felt to explore Pandora through their eyes. And this is another area where Avatar 3 is a marked step down. I suspect it goes some way toward explaining these films' downward trajectory at the box office. For all its faults, there is a story in Avatar 1, but overpoweringly, there is also a sense of adventure. The problem, as I explained near the beginning of my Way of Water video, is that this sense of adventure was based on something utterly superficial. The Na'vi have no culture, they have a pastiche. The story, a binary nature-loving Na'vi equals good, capitalist humans equals bad, simultaneously left everything and nothing to the imagination. You did not leave Avatar 1 with the sense that these creatures within the world had a life off-screen. There were no hints at broader stories, deeper or unexplored histories, factions on maneuvers. There were, in short, no signs of life. Something the original Star Wars did extremely well was to drop you in the middle of a lived-in galaxy and show you how rich, vibrant, and constant its universe was. You picked up at the beginning of the story, but the universe itself, that was in media res. Those Jawas, they have a history. Because of how well known they are as a race, you know that these aren't the only ones. Because the Imperials disguise their attack as the work of Tusken Raiders, you know the various peoples on this planet have relationships, rivalries, arrangements. In the Cantina Bar, all this motley collection of creatures is transitory. The bar attracts impermanent people who all have jobs and lives somewhere else off-screen. Han is not the first pilot Obi-Wan approaches. The first guy is off to fly somebody else somewhere else into a different story. The Empire, it has informants as well as enemies. In the backdrop, there is a galactic senate. There is politics. The uncounted worlds in this empire have points of view. The rebels are pulled from all sorts of places. They all have their own backstories. Biggs is much like Luke and has already been on an adventure all his own before we meet him. The Death Star might be the proximate evil, but everything in the movie tells you that this is not all the Empire is. Vader's escape tells you more is coming, and if this is what we've seen of the Empire, imagine what we haven't seen yet. A common criticism made of people in our sphere of YouTube, myself, Mauler, Fringy, Rags, Random Film Talk, etc., is that we want movies to spoon-feed every single thing in the plot to the exclusion of all possible questions. This is an absurd criticism, and the people who make it are Where world building in particular is concerned, if you want to give the impression of a bigger universe in which your story is being told, leaving open questions is essential. The key is to ensure first that these open questions do not undermine your A-plot, and second, that these open questions are worth asking in the first place. The first Avatar superficially accomplished this. We saw one part of a planet, one tribe of Na'vi. The movie does not do a particularly good job at implying or teasing the existence of others. It leaves far fewer specific open questions, and it suggests far fewer off-screen moving parts. But the macro question, there must be more to it than this, that's definitely there. Way of Water kicks off, and you meet a new group of Smurfs, but then the hollowness of this question is quickly laid bare. These really aren't that different. They're not all that alien either from each other or from ourselves. They speak in the same vague spiritualist mumbo-jumbo. Their religion, their culture is really just the same but wetter. There's more variety in the returning humans whose motives have shifted from unobtainium to salvation plus brain goo. But unlike Star Wars, which acknowledges how vast its universe is, Avatar 2 refuses to acknowledge how vast these implications are, which is a double fault, given that this is the motive of its villainous faction, and therefore is highly relevant to the plot. The more you see of Pandora, even in the second film, the less big and the less deep it seems. It introduces its whales not to enlarge its setting, but to shrink the alien to the mundane and the familiar. It plays on one of the safest and most basic human emotions, despair at the suffering of animals, and it even makes the animals a direct lift from an Earth species. It doesn't want to make them too alien. A lot of the aliens in the Star Wars cantina look and are implied to be evil, immoral, nefarious, inscrutable, but this is also the bar where soon-to-be heroes might be found. It implies complexity and variety, and importantly, strangeness in its world. Avatar 2, by contrast, does the opposite. As strange and weird and wonderful as Pandora appeared to be in the first movie, it becomes less strange, less weird, and less wonderful the more you see of it. Its cheap emotional hooks rely on simplicity and similarity. Once again, the humans are uncomplicatedly evil because the movie refuses to acknowledge the complexity of their condition. And the Na'vi, they are uncomplicatedly good. It has space Indians, it has space Zoomers, it has space whalers. Change the color and remove the word space, and all you're left with is a bunch of extremely well-worn cliches haphazardly mashed together. We confirmed that the planet is bigger, and at the same time, we confirmed that there is less to see. Because these movies are Pandora simulators, not stories, the one thing you cannot afford to do is to make Pandora itself boring. Forgettable characters is a feature, not a bug. A forgettable story is a bug, but not a damning one, because all it's really there to do is to give you an excuse to inhabit the world. But if the world loses its intrigue, if it loses its vastness, its strangeness, and its beauty, then why are we here? Worlds like Star Wars and The Lord of the Rings beg more stories or invite interest in other stories that have already been written because the worlds are deep and moving. They feel like they exist when the screen is black. Things do not stop with the movie. Things are still in motion, and we want to see who goes where, does what, with what result. When you encounter a new group of people for the first time, they carry in past relationships. They're grounded in the world. They have been here far longer than we have. There is an implied history. They didn't just spring into being the second the camera started rolling. Avatar 2 struggled a bit to translate this to the screen. Its new Smurf race has a history with its new space whales. They have an awareness of other Smurf tribes, but the initial hostility the Sea Smurfs show to the Sully fam is predicated on unfamiliarity. All these people, in all their time on this planet, who live a single bird flight away, have astonishingly little knowledge of each other. And for as long as the humans have been on this planet doing all of their evil human things, the new entrants to the Avatar franchise have no particularly firm view of them. The whales are aware of what's going on, but the movie rests on this not altering their worldview in any way. The Sea Smurfs via the whales are also aware of what's going on, but even less plausibly, it hasn't done much to shape their worldview either. Avatar 3, though, takes these deficiencies and amplifies them. It introduces us to two new factions, the Wind Traders and the Fire Smurfs. The Fire Smurfs were nearly wiped out in a massive volcanic eruption that nobody else on Pandora seems to realize ever happened. They've never been referenced before, and their increased presence and increased violence seems again to have had no impact whatsoever on any other faction around them. Flaming Hot Smurfette narrates her backstory and the origin of her people because there would otherwise be no hint of any of it. It's not represented in the world. world. It doesn't factor into the awareness of other Smurfs. Nobody else has thoughts or opinions of it. They even have a profound religious difference that, given all the Smurfs are insufferable spiritualists, you'd think would matter quite a bit. All these atheist fire Smurfs going around upsetting nature's perfect balance? They've been this way for a while. Bit odd that the first time they're mentioned is their first time on screen. Bit odd that nobody's noted them before, or altered their behavior to accommodate them, or warned about their presence, or generally acknowledged them in any way until now. Bit odd too that nobody even offered to help when that volcano went up. The fire Smurfs are raiders, and raiders prey on traders. The existence of raiders should alter the existence of traders far more than it does. The existence of traders works against the isolationism that set up the facile culture clash in the last movie. The implication that the traders are allowed to conduct their business peacefully by the humans says things about the humans that the movie prefers not to acknowledge, namely that we're quite accommodating of the natives so long as the natives aren't trying to kill us and condemn us to annihilation. After all, as with the last movie, we've got the tech and the resources to wipe out the Smurfs, and yet we haven't done that. We seem to be far kinder to them than they are to us. Quite why the traders would then agree to violate this neutrality by smuggling terrorists under the visible escort of said terrorists, I do not know. How they were in a position to do this in the first place, given their defense against the raiders amounts to a couple of crossbows and giving up, I do not know. These pieces don't work together because they've been slapped on the board with no forethought. Cameron, Mr. Control-C, and Mr. Control-V never bothered to figure out how they have always worked, so they do not know how they should work now. Everything pops into existence for the camera's benefit and pops out of existence once that benefit has been exhausted. The self-same thoughtless mechanic applies to the movie's biggest and weirdest addition too. It was one thing to have the Smurfs' relationship with Eywa be spiritual, referencing the unknown, as with the Force in the Star Wars original trilogy. The less you know, the less concrete it is, the more you can get away with. Why does it intervene here but not here? Well, we don't even know what it is, so what might seem capricious in an active agent can be put down to the mystery of existence. The minute you make Eywa an actual thing, a giant human-like head, receptive to direct communication, receptive to logical and emotional argumentation, you start swapping the unanswerable mystery for the non or badly answered question. So Eywa is a life form. Eywa is the protector of the planet. Eywa can control nature. Eywa protects nature. Eywa can assume ultimate control whenever it likes. Why then does Eywa always leave it so late before it intervenes? Why does it allow so much death and destruction? Why must it be nagged by random teenagers into stopping the eminently stoppable? If it has the power to adapt humans for life on Proxima, as it does with Spider, why does it not do this generally, thereby eliminating a huge source of conflict and saving countless lives? And then you're left with the awkward conclusion that Eywa does not do this because it doesn't want to, because it has a vested interest in death, because death, as we've seen, sustains it. Smurf bodies are fed to it, it feasts on their flesh, it harvests their souls and traps them in its neural network. Doesn't say much for the beautiful harmony and balance of nature, does it, James? Maybe Eywa does not intervene because Eywa is just hungry, and only did so in this case because it finds Ripley, Smurf, and Spider as annoying as I do. These problems are unique to Avatar 3, but of course the movie carries in many of the significant world-building problems from the previous films as well. The humans having total air and space superiority and not using it, the humans having the ability to upload consciousness to untethered Smurf bodies and not using it, the absurdity of immortalizing whale brain goo and its value to a species primarily driven by the death of its own planet, the total failure to acknowledge or account for the death of that planet, the emptiness of all Smurf kind, etc. I'm not going to go through all of that again because unlike the Avatar movies or Otterly Noah or the Gramoogles creature, I draw the line at plagiarizing myself, never mind other people.
How can someone be like you and learn to be critical?
It's difficult. It's very difficult, apparently.
Isn't this the best fucking
difficult.
For more on the world-building problems in the Avatar franchise, see my Avatar 2 video. The point of this section is just to argue that these movies are making less money each time because they're revealing the hollowness of their central conceit. Here is a glossy, shiny, sparkly, beautiful, and vast alien world, and like so many video games recently, there's just not much to do in it. Familiarity might not yet have bred actual contempt, but apathy is setting in. The studio response is to explore ways of making future Avatar movies quicker and cheaper, but what they really need to be is deeper, broader, and more meaningful. These two things aren't mutually exclusive. Depth, breadth, and meaning are primarily the products of writing, and writing is the cheapest part of the creative process. But the fact the studio is looking to cut costs and production time suggests they view the Avatar movies as merely what they are: dollars in, dollars out. And that is understandable, because on a thematic level, the movies are deserts, cold, uncaring, bad for your health, but not passionate or especially deliberate about it. Like many aging boomers uncomfortable with the world that they've built, James Cameron has become a misanthrope, and he believes we should all be made to pay for it. He does not like Trump, which is fine, there are plenty of reasons not to, though of course, if you don't like him, you're probably homophobic.
They came in so fast and so hard, and these guys knew exactly what let's go, come on, get in, let's go, pwah. They came one right after another, not at the same time. They don't want to come at the same time. They had to come right after each other. They didn't have any room.
To Cameron's credit, and part of the reasons these movies get a pass from so many people, he doesn't debase himself by attacking the target of the day, or even the target of the decade. He made something like that mistake with Terminator Dark Fate, replacing John Connor with diverse female illegal immigrant Messiah, and this was not a popular move.
No, wait, Ray! Let's get out of here! We can't just leave! Come on! Oh, it's horrible! Oh, God! Somebody do something! Why are they doing this?
I want to stand and fight.
Why are they doing this? Just run!
With Avatar, he goes for a more common, almost genetic theme: environmentalism. Humans in general, and affluent humans in particular, tend toward the Gnostic, the belief that there is something dirty, something wrong, something fallen and disgusting about humanity. It deplores the material, it attributes it to some foul demiurge, a minor deity, or the spirit of capitalism. It elevates the natural in its place, and it elevates children as its prophets because they have not yet been sullied by the full human experience. It is predicated on gnosis, a special knowledge possessed by the pure and chosen few who are better than the rest of us because they alone see what must be done. What must be done usually translates into making poor people poorer so the rich can feel better about themselves. This is an impulse more than it is a political position. The fact it dons new guises on a generational basis, and these guises can be both right and left coded, religious and secular, suggests that it is pre-political. It's sentimental more than it is ideological. Politics comes later and provides a veneer of theory or the aim of policy to the Gnostics' sense of unrewarded superiority. It could stem from a maladaptation of the human trick of reading patterns for prediction and survival, or it could be nothing more than a status game. These beliefs make me better and more pure than you. These sorts of status games afflict the affluent in affluent nations because it's harder for them to prove their worth materially. None of this is me arguing, by the way, against protecting the environment. Quite the opposite. I like the environment. Unlike most environmentalists, I live in it. The point is that the theme of a movie like Avatar and the status games on which it's predicated have nothing much to do with the environment at all. Because they're pre-political sentiments, and because they're held by creative types who aren't equipped for theory or fact, they're often expressed in extremely emotional terms. Being unchecked by reality, because they're all about massaging fragile egos, they can travel to extreme lengths. And when these extreme lengths are represented in a movie, in a story, in a work of art, they tend to undermine it. Does James Cameron sincerely believe that all humans deserve to die because of the evils we do to nature? I would hope not. But did he imply that in his movie? Pretty much, yeah. Is it even a reflection of his emotions and sentiments, or is it rather a desperate extension of the second film's message because he has nothing new to say? I genuinely don't know. Both could be true, either harms the movie. The moral drama of Avatar is, as Cameron has set himself himself to present humans as nature sees us, the invader, the enemy. The moral play requires that the Smurfs are accepted by humans as the embodiment of good, and humans as the embodiment, in the first movie, of vice, in the second movie of worse vice, and in the third movie of evil itself. The problem is that by staking such an extreme position, Cameron makes the Smurfs and the nature they're defending far less redeemable than humanity itself. We could genocide them, and we do not. They believe that genociding us is their highest attainable good. There was always a threatened contradiction in Cameron's approach to these movies. He wants his characters to be our avatars, and through their adventure, he wants us to sympathize with them against ourselves. The conceit is predicated on us not being as bad as he tells us that we are. It's an attempt, and not a wholly bad one, to show us the extremes Cameron thinks we go to. He does this in a bid to have us reject those extremes when we see them in the real world. This can work when the extremes are a parody of capitalism or resource extraction or strip mining or whaling. Whether you think it should work isn't the point. Cameron presents us with parody versions of things that are arguably evil and attempts to trick us into taking his side, agreeing that they're evil, while skipping the awkward business of actually having to argue the point. But this does not work when the extreme is our very existence as a species. Some deluded people will agree performatively that the human population should be drastically reduced, just as long as they themselves are not included in the quota. But most people get a bit of the ick when a billionaire puppets a CGI Smurf to tell us that we deserve to die. Not because of what we do, but because of what we are. Awa admitting Spider to the Hippy tree is the kind of ultimate expression of this Gnostic impulse. But it also reveals it as being A, deliberately unobtainable, and B, shallow and ridiculous. The movie is not telling us how we can better ourselves. The movie is telling us that the pure and chosen few will be admitted while the rest of us are damned by our nature. It is the language of a cult. Self-satisfaction taken to the nth degree, not something designed to convert the lay person as the previous two movies were. Avatar 3 being ridiculous doesn't mean it is entirely harmless. Just look at how many people around the world are being impoverished in pursuit of policies that make absolutely no difference to the climate whatsoever. But the earlier movies did a much better job at enabling that sort of thing because their theme had not quite become zero-sum. They were still trying to show us, humans in the audience, that if we simply act better, we can be redeemed. It's for the third movie, Fire and Ass, to take that one sizable step too far via a combination of writing decisions that seem as much lazy as deliberate. Did Cameron really think through the immortalizing whale brain goo? Did he really realize what he'd done when he introduced the Earth is dying complication in Way of Water? I suspect he partially did, but not fully. It was a way of raising the stakes, and it felt like a stronger emphasis on his point about rapacious industrial modernity, so he threw them into the script and didn't think too much about the implications. A lazy billionaire in the cultural elite thoughtlessly sacrificing all humanity on the altar of his own juvenile morality? That does sound like a theme, alright, and not just of this movie. All in all, then, Avatar 3 has broken the characters the first two movies never really established in the first place. There is so little narrative left that you could hop between the two movies and see more or less the same story. Its world was made a mile wide, revealing that it is barely an inch deep, thereby diminishing what was once its strongest appeal. And its theme has become so hateful that more and more of the audience is left feeling that this expensive, empty thing just doesn't like them very much. The box office is not indicative of quality, but it is indicative of effect and reception. Fire and Ash has just exited theaters. Avatar 1 made $2.9 billion. Avatar 2 made $2.3 billion. Avatar 3 made $1.4 billion. Still impressive sums to be sure, but it is a steep decline. And of course, those figures are not adjusted for inflation. A single movie ticket costs much more now than it did back in 2009. If you look at overall ticket sales, they tell a starker story. 331.3 million of them for the first film, 258 $88.1 million for the second film, $127.5 million for the third. The audience for Avatar Fire and Ash is about 61% smaller than the audience for the original movie. This is the real reason the studio wants them faster and cheaper. They no longer justify the expense. The audience just isn't there. Which is ironic, because if they left it a very long time, they might actually see better results once people have had time to forget the ick factor that Avatar 3 imbued in them. By contrast, if the studio gets its wish, my guess is that we'll get one more Avatar movie sometime around 2029, and each will struggle to crack $1 billion. The fifth, if they bother with it at all, will make less again, and that will be the end of Avatar. By that point, people might dimly remember the dopamine hit they got from the first film. They might remember once seeing something visually remarkable, but the story, the world, the theme, nothing at all. And the characters, they won't even remember their names. That's all for this one, folks. Many thanks to Tyler Wolf for doing the lion's share of the editing on this video. Be sure to check out his channel, give it a like, give it a subscribe. The fact this video is so delayed is almost entirely my fault, and any glitches in the edits are likewise mostly my fault. And by mostly my fault, I mean mostly YouTube's fault, because getting this one past copyright was a nightmare. Don't forget to check out FreeCash at the link in my description to receive that $10 bonus on the first offer you start. It's a neat little way of doing something fun and earning a few dollars on the side. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.